right, everybody, welcome into the high noon edition of Pugs Company, the first of two live streams we do each and every day. The first one we like to call High Noon. The second one we call Pillow Talk. And boy, oh boy, did we have fun last night. We brought back Pillow Talk. Pillow Talk had been in dry dock for a couple of weeks, maybe. Yeah, over the holidays, we weren't able to assemble the crew. And we still weren't able to assemble the full crew. We had Parker last night. And we had fun. So if you missed it, you can find that on YouTube. Actually, you can just go to pugscast.com, and that'll deliver you right to the YouTube page. This one here, we call this High Noon. And the purpose of this show is we go through all the day's trending topics, everything that people are talking about, all the things that are happening in the world. We try to give you a little cheat sheet so you're not walking around here not wondering, you're not walking around here thinking, I don't know anything about what's going on in the world. I am so lost. People come up to you. Hey, did you hear about? And you could be like, no. Now you listen to this show every day. And it is my goal that you'll be able to answer that person with, I sure did. And I've had time to think about it. And here's what I think. That's all. That's all this show is. This is more, as I like to say, utilitarian. You use this for a purpose every day. And hopefully you have a little fun with it. All right, so let's talk about what today is. Do I have any other notes that I need to mention? No, none that I can think of. No. Hi, April. April, I was just catching up and made it to the fart chick. LO. Yes, we had we ended strong last night. I believe my favorite story, easily my favorite. I'll tell you this. So we did a story to end the pillow talk last night that April just mentioned there in the chat room. And by the way, come all, participate in the chat room. We'd like to have that as well. I mean, yeah, sure, you can watch on YouTube at a later date or whatever, but come join us live. Be in the chat room. Be part of the fun. Be part of the engagement, if you will. We ended the show last night, me and James, with a story about a girl who was selling her farts in a jar to people who would buy farts in a jar. I mean, I don't know. I could probably do the next 2 hours simply on people who would buy farts in a jar, but I won't. And anyway, we did that story last night, and spoiler, she tried to push too many farts, and she thought she gave herself a heart attack. That was the wrap up of it. We had fun with that story, but I'll tell you this: that story has inspired me. Inspired you to what? Sell your farts? Ain't nobody gonna buy your farts. No. That story has inspired me to create a list for 2022. It is my expectation that I will continue doing this show in some way, shape, or form for the next year, easily. And I have created that story, made me go, I need to start taking these stories and just have best of 2022. And that's the first entry. That is the girl selling her farts who tried. Oh, by the way, I buried the lead. She claimed to have been making $50,000 a week selling her farts. $50,000 a week selling her farts. And greed being what greed is, she was forcing some. And she was forcing them to the point that she thought she gave herself a heart attack because she went all Elvis. She was pushing too hard. And then, oh man, she had that. She also existed on a diet of beans and eggs, which I'm sorry. I'm still laughing about the story. You can catch the entire details if you want them on last night's show, the Pillow Talk show, which I might suggest you listen to after this. Excuse me. Got a little bit of a cough. Not the COVID, though. This is it's weather related. It's I'm having the nasal drip, which is going back there, which is totally expected. Totally expected. This feels more like a normal sinus thing. Maybe I sound a little more nasally. This sounds a little bit, or feels to me a little bit more natural than what I'd been dealing with the last couple of months, which was just sinuses, definitely. But it was crazy because the weather was like 80 degrees, 25 degrees, 80 degrees, 30 degrees, 80 degrees. It was like going back and forth, and my sinuses were like, what? But we've sort of leveled out now. Here in North Texas, we've got a little bit more. I think we're going to have some consistency of weather in the 50s and 40s now, maybe some 60s. So I think I'm in a good spot now with my sinuses. I think they're going to level out and everything's going to be great. All right, today is January 5th, the 5th day of the year, and the 5th day of the year. It is 360 days until the end of the year. Hi, Jeff Glenn. Jeff Glenn says he's listening from the backyard today while I do rabbit and chicken stuff. I need to have Jeff Glenn on. Jeff Glenn is an interesting dude. I need to know more about the rabbit stuff. Well, thank you, Mama Beller. I will take care of myself. I try to. Jeff says it's nice out. He might clean the grill. It is kind of nice out. Oh, you know what I need to do? Thinking of our tier 1 listeners and viewers, whatever we call these people, streamers, I guess. Adam Reyna, he is my crypto keeper. Oh, God. Oh, God. Adam is the guy who gave me my first bit of cryptocurrency, sent me a little Bitcoin, and I'm interested in it. I'm thinking about, trying to learn what it. I know. Pugs, that was so 5 years ago. I know. I should have been on it 5 years ago. Throughout my life, I understand the importance of jumping on something new when it's new, like getting in early, getting before everybody else. But I have the worst judgment. I like crypto. No, I didn't get in on crypto early. I didn't think about that early. I didn't think that was something. You know what I thought was something? The XFL. Oh, yeah. MMA. Yeah, that stuff. That's the stuff I got into really early before everybody else. I still consider myself one of the nation's foremost experts in the XFL. Both the former league from 20-some years ago and the failed league from just last year. I compartmentalize that with my knowledge of USFL. That's old 80s US. Oh, and by the way, I'm very excited. It all comes full circle. The USFL is coming back. Yeah, it is. We'll talk about that at some point. I'm very excited. And the new USFL, they bought the trademarks to all the former USFL team names. So yeah, we're gonna have the New Jersey Generals and the LA Express and the Chicago Blitz and the Denver Gold and the Michigan Panthers and the Philadelphia Stars. Oh, it's gonna be great. But back to my crypto. Adam Reyna gave me my first piece of crypto, and I've been watching it. And Zach, my buddy Tom and his buddy Zach, they also sent me a couple of crypto shekels or whatever the hell they're called. I don't know what they're called. So I started out, my total yesterday was $7.14 in crypto. I know, I'm a wheeler dealer. $7.14. I'm down to $7. I have lost 10 cents. I am down to $7.04. This tumultuous crypto market. I'm watching it. All right, so that's it. That's my crypto economic commentary of the day. All right, so let's see here. It is high noon, so we talk about things that happen during today, things that happen today, and things that are happening exactly on this day. But on this day in history, why today is kind of cool. In 1914 on this day, the Ford Motor Company announced the 8-hour workday and a minimum daily wage of $5 plus bonuses. So 1914, this is the beginning of the 8-hour workday, something that we all take for granted now. And, when I don't know if that was, I guess like before the big companies, decided to all get in line and do an 8-hour workday, I guess they were demanding people work 12 hours and hey, whatever. We have an 8-hour workday, and that all started today in 1914, thanks to the Ford Motor Company. In 1919, on this day, the German Workers' Party was formed. That's right. Yeah. The German Workers' Party was formed in 1919. Of course, we may all know them better by the name they rebranded with, which is the Nazi Party. So happy birthday, Nazis. Today, on this day in 1919, you were born. And boy, have you contributed to the world. In 1941, this is an interesting one. In 1941, on this day, Amy Johnson. Now, I don't know if you know who Amy Johnson is. There was a movie a couple of years ago called Amy, and I didn't even know when I started watching it. I didn't know it was a true story. I thought it was just like some kind of they took the Amelia Earhart thing and now they're just remaking it with a British girl. Amy Johnson was a 37-year-old pilot and the first woman to fly. She was real. Of course she's real. On this day, Amy Johnson, a 37-year-old pilot and the first woman to fly solo from London to Australia. Is that more than Amelia Earhart crossing the Atlantic? Did Amelia Earhart cross the Atlantic or did she circle the globe? I'm not entirely sure. Anyway, London to Australia seems far. A 37-year-old pilot and the first woman to fly solo from London to Australia disappeared after bailing out of her private plane over the River Thames. What? Okay, so the parallels to Amelia Earhart are obvious. For a woman pilot, back in the day when a woman pilot, are you kidding me? That was replaced years later by a black quarterback. Are you kidding me? But she bailed out and disappeared over the River Thames in England. How do you disappear? They never found her. 1941, they never found her. Now, Amelia Earhart, I get, Bermuda Triangle, that's the ocean. There's, you could be anywhere in the ocean. But the River Thames, that's you disappeared when your plane went down in the River Thames? That seems fishy. On this day in 1949, President Harry Truman, give him hell, Harry, proposed the Fair Deal, which was an extension of Roosevelt's New Deal. And there were a lot of things. This is what the Fair Deal, I was reading about this morning. I wanted to familiarize myself with it. It's crazy. It's crazy. Here, let me give you some of the things that were proposed in the Fair Deal. And it's crazy because here we are 80 years later, right? 41, almost 80 years later. And we're going through this. It's all the same stuff. It is all the same stuff that people want now, 80 years later, that were proposed by Harry Truman in his Fair Deal. Let's see. Major improvements to an unemployment compensation system. Substantial increase in the minimum wage. The maintenance and extension of price controls, a pragmatic approach towards drafting legislation, eliminating wartime agencies. Okay, that's specific to the 1940s. Legislation to ensure full employment. That's a good one. Let's make sure, look, we're the most powerful nation in the world. Here we are coming out of wartime. We are a booming economy. Let's do something to make sure that everybody is employed. Infrastructure. They wanted a massive infrastructure bill in the United States. Increased aid to farmers. We still have that issue. The removal of restrictions on eligibility for voluntary enlistment and allowing the armed forces to enlist a greater number of volunteers. So that's the moving away from the draft and all of that and moving into what we have today. Let's see. A major revision of the tax system. You're trying to do that back in... This is crazy. Greater levels of assistance from the federal government to small evolving businesses. Small business, Main Street, not Wall Street. Here we go. This again, folks. You know how long ago this was? It was 80 years ago. Truman was trying to get this. Improvements in federal aid to veterans. 80 years ago, we're arguing about we need to take better care of our veterans. God. The introduction of a decent pay scale for all federal employees, the promotion of the sale of ships to remove the uncertainty, legislation to bring about the acquisition and retention of stockpiles of materials necessary for meeting defense needs of the nation. Okay, I don't do that. But here's the one that's crazy. Truman, this is 80 years ago. Finally, Truman announced that he would soon communicate with Congress recommending a national health care program. This is not national health care. The modern liberals think everything. Come on, man. Every other country in the world is decades ahead of us on this one. The issue of making sure that your citizens can stay healthy without bankruptcy. That's exactly what it says, too. Remember, that's the big call now. Why should a person have to go bankrupt in the world's wealthiest nation because they get sick and the insurance companies decide to gouge them, right? That's what we hear today. Truman announced that he would soon communicate with Congress recommending a national health program to provide adequate medical care for all Americans and to protect them from financial loss and hardships resulting from illness and accident. 80 years ago, it was 80 years ago, we started talking about these issues. We are a bullshit country, man. I'm telling you, we do nothing but flap our gums. That was on this day in 1949. Truman proposed the Fair Deal. Let's see here. Oh, plane crashes. That's right. We got to do plane crashes. Now, yesterday we had no plane crashes. You know, I have a belief that there's been a plane crash every single day of the year. Any day you can look at what happened on this day and you will find a plane crash. Now, most of these plane crashes, according to my theory, existed between 1945, post-World War II, 1945 and 2000. 2000, when I believe they kind of worked the bugs out on commercial air travel and everything became just exponentially safer year by year by year. Yesterday we had none. Yesterday, January 4th seems to be, so far in the time that we've been tracking these plane crashes, the safest day to fly, or the most deadly day to fly because it's overdue for a plane crash. But no major commercial air disasters on January 4th. Today we've only got one. Today there's only one. But guess where it comes from? That's right. It comes from one of them sketchy Soviet era, the Sverdlovsk air disaster. All on board are killed, including almost the entire national hockey team of Russia. 11 players were on board, as well as a team doctor and a masseuse. So that happened on this day in 1950. How about some birthdays? Okay, we'll do some birthdays. We got a couple of interesting ones. Robert Duvall, born on this day in 1931. Don't feel like doing the math. He's old. 90. I think he's not 90, 91, 90, something like that. Robert Duvall. Let's take a moment to think about Robert Duvall. What do I think about when I think of Robert Duvall? First, of course, Tom Hagen from the Godfather movies. Probably one of the coolest character roles in the history of film. Tom Hagen, the consigliere, the adopted son of Don Vito Corleone. Great role for a young Robert Duvall. The Great Santini. I think of the Great Santini. I think of, he's done a lot of stuff. Let's see, what else do we have here? So happy birthday, Robert Duvall. You're a cool-ass actor. We could do a Robert Duvall movie draft, but I just don't know off the top of my head if I have 5. I mean, the dude's done like 100 million movies, but for some reason, the only 2 that come. Certainly, Tom Hagen would be, taking in the first round. Boo Radley. Yes, that's right. Boo Radley. He played Boo. His first role was of Boo Radley in To Kill a Mockingbird, which is pretty good first role. So yeah, okay. So I'd go Tom Hagen, Boo Radley, Great Santini, and then might have to figure. I'd have to bring in some outside help, which is just Wikipedia's filmography on Robert Duvall. I'd have to look at that to pick my 4th and 5th round draft picks for Robert Duvall movies. Born on this day in 1942, Charlie Rose. Charlie Rose. Remember Charlie Rose? He used to do those shows with he'd sit around the table in a dark room and have really interesting long-form conversations with everyone from entertainers to curiosities to newsmakers. I mean, Charlie Rose, that was a good show. I used to enjoy watching Charlie Rose. And Charlie Rose is right, because then Charlie Rose started whipping his dick out and flashing it around to interns, and now we don't see Charlie Rose anymore. Did you forget about that? Did you forget about why we don't see Charlie Rose anymore? Because Charlie Rose became Charlie Hose. And again, we need to make a distinction when we cancel people. Okay. And now I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve what he got, because that is weird. That is weird. But we need to make a distinction between sex criminals like Harvey Weinstein, people that are actual Roman Polanski. We need to make a distinction between sex criminals who are caught up or captured, snared in the Me Too movement of the last few years. And it's not to suggest that Roman Polanski was, but I was just using him as an example. So you got Charlie Weinstein as sort of the standard bearer for the sex criminal. But then we also just have to establish the sex creep category. Because there are just sex creeps out there. Guys who are just, it's not necessarily like, Louis C.K. what he did. That was just sex creepy. That was just like sex weird, sex creep. The sex creep versus the sex criminal. Charlie Rose is a sex creep. I don't believe, and I could be wrong. I just remember that I think the story was that he had like an intern on his show come to his hotel room, and he was walking around in a towel, like he had just gotten out of the shower. And then at some point right in front of her, he like dropped the towel. Like a 70-year-old Charlie Rose walking around with his Charlie hose flapping right in front of the intern. See, that's sex creep. She's not. I don't want to go into it. But that's not the same thing as what Harvey Weinstein did. I'm just saying we need to make a distinction. Born on this day in 1946, the lovely and talented Diane Keaton. Diane Keaton would be, 75, I guess, right now. 75-year-old Diane Keaton. What can I say about Diane Keaton off the top of my head? Well, when I think of Diane Keaton movie draft. No, we won't do that. Although we could certainly, her role in The Godfather, just like Robert Duvall, would be right at the top of my Diane Keaton movie draft. But I think the number one Diane Keaton in the first round of the Diane Keaton movie draft, Pugs & Company High Noon Edition select Annie Hall. Annie Hall, ladies and gentlemen. Diane Keaton as Annie Hall, the iconic female character from the 1980 Woody Allen movie Annie Hall, which I love. I got an Annie Hall story. I got my relationship with Annie Hall, the film, is very difficult because I seem to remember Annie Hall was in some kind of competition at some point in my childhood with one of the Star Wars films. I don't know if it was the original Star Wars. I don't know if it was Empire Strikes Back, but there was something like maybe it was an award show. And I remember Annie Hall winning. And I was only like 10 years old. So I'm like, what? Get out. That sucks. You gotta be Annie Hall. That's stupid. I'm 10 years old. What about Darth Vader? That was my whole take on it. So I hated Annie Hall for decades. Just had this, mental block where I ain't seen that crap because when I was 10 years old, it beat Empire Strikes Back for some stupid, meaningless award. But then I finally saw Annie Hall and I went, holy crap, this is one of my favorite movies of all time. Christopher Walken's scene alone as Annie Hall's brother driving on the Wisconsin lane, turning to Woody Allen and saying, sometimes I just want to pull into the oncoming lane and kill everybody in the car. That's just such a great movie. And I will give credit to this, to Annie Hall, which the rom-com, the romantic comedy has become a theater staple over the years. It probably became, most people would go, well, the rom-com really started with Sleepless in Seattle, to which I would say, yeah, no, Harry Met Sally came out before that. And there had always been romantic films, but they weren't necessarily comedy-based romantic films. Ground zero for the rom-com is Annie Hall. That is probably still to this day the finest film ever made within what is now considered the rom-com genre. So happy birthday, Diane Keaton. You are a trailblazer. And just so cute. She was so cute. I mean, I know she's 75 and I'm young and I shouldn't be, but I could, as a young guy in my 20s watching Annie Hall, she was adorable. Her portrayal of Annie Hall was just so adorable. You think Meg Ryan was cute in her rom-com movie? No way. Meg Ryan was just doing like a lesser Diane Keaton. She was adorable. Born on this day in 1969. Remember I was talking about the distinction between sex criminal and sex creep? Marilyn Manson. Happy birthday, sex accused, sex criminal, but definitely doesn't even have to be any talk or chatter. Definitely a sex creep. I mean, when you see Marilyn Manson, yeah, that dude's a sex creep. I have no evidence to support that. I don't know what's going on with him, sight unseen, but that dude, just looking at him, is a sex creep. As it turns out, he's also potentially a sex criminal because Marilyn Manson is under police investigation for a number of stuff that he got into back in the day. But man, I'll tell you, okay, this is again falls into separate. I could have used this with the Annie Hall discussion too, but separate the art from the artist. Okay. Artists are weird. Creative people are weird. They do just things that will confound you, but then, their commercial art projects that you end up consuming can make you forget and should make you forget about the individual, complicated, and sometimes dangerous human being that put that together. Artists are weird. So if you're really going to be able to enjoy the creation of new things in this world, you have to be dedicated to the concept of separating the art from the artist. Rosemary's Baby is one of the best scary movies ever made, and Roman Polanski is a criminal scumbag. See, I can make that distinction. Michael Jackson, I believe that Michael Jackson was involved in some really shady stuff, man. He's been to court, but I have seen enough stuff for me to think Michael Jackson, certainly not somebody I'd let babysit my kids, but Michael Jackson is a brilliant performer in the stuff that he created. Look, you have to separate that. I am not going to start or stop enjoying Thriller or Off the Wall or Bad or any of the stuff that he created because he was brilliant. He was brilliant and he was weird. And that's kind of how I feel about Marilyn Manson celebrating birthday today. I mean, there is undeniable. When I used to go out running, and by the way, I've started running again today. Or not today, but in the new year, I've ran every single day. I'm very proud of myself. I'm working back up. I got up to my max was 6 miles in one day, right? Now, this is like a fat guy, old man jog, but 6 miles. And it was taking like an hour and a half. So I cut that down. So what my average was 3 miles a day. And I can't stop. That's not something that I can do right from the beginning. So on the first day that I started my new running in this year, 2022, I did 1.5 miles. And then the next day I did 2 miles. And then the next day I did 2.5 miles. At any rate, I want to be up to 3 miles today. Today I want to get back to my 3 miles. Every day just increasing it a little bit more. Because look at this. This is a train wreck. I was when I arrived here in Dallas all those months ago, I wasn't at my peak, but I was feeling close to where I should be as far as, because I don't want to be skinny. You ever see somebody who was chubby and then they get skinny and they're old skinny? They're like, oh my God. And they don't look right. They just look totally different. I don't want to be skinny. I want to be chubby. Chubby is fine. I would like to get down to around 200 pounds on my 6-foot frame. That would give me a dad bod. Right now, I'm just a fat guy. So I would like to get down to dad. I would consider that to be a real victory for me. I got below 200 pounds about 3 years ago. My low was 198 and I felt great. And then I went right back up, and within a couple of years, pandemic fat. Now I'm like 230. So it's ridiculous. Anyway, Marilyn Manson separating the art from the artist. Folks, what you just heard was called chasing rabbits in the business. I started talking about one thing and then it led to another. And then suddenly I'm so far away from the original topic, I forget where I was. Marilyn Manson created some music that if you're a runner, oh my God. First of all, it's scary. It's scary music. So it makes you, and I used to put on the headphones and I'd put on the Marilyn Manson, I'd pull up a Marilyn Manson page on Spotify, and I would just go in the middle of the woods in Chicago and just start running on the running trails through the woods. And I remember one time it was like getting dark and I was probably about 3 miles into the woods. It was getting dark and I was like, okay, this is starting to get creepy. And just as the sun started to fall, like that song, Beautiful People kicked in. It was just so scary. Wait. That's some running music, man. And when you're a little bit spooked out, you're like, all right, I'm going to pick up the pace a little bit here because Marilyn Manson is getting in my head. Happy birthday, Marilyn Manson. Sex creep? and probable sex criminal. If the LAPD are to be believed. Let's see here. Bradley Cooper. Happy birthday, big Bradley Cooper. One of my current favorite actors. Bradley Cooper movie draft. That's easy. In the first round of the Bradley Cooper movie draft, the representative from the Pugs and Company High Noon show selects Silver Linings Playbook. Folks, if you have any form of mental issue, if you have any kind of, I just got that thing in your nose where it tingles, where you feel like you're going to start to get emotional. If you have any kind of, even a touch of the depression, which I have, if you watching that movie is just like a religious experience. Silver Lining Playbook, where Bradley Cooper plays a guy who has bipolar disorder. I don't have bipolar disorder. There was a time when I thought I did, but I don't. That was just bullcrap. Robert De Niro, Jackie Weaver, Jennifer Lawrence. If you have never seen Silver, first of all, it's not like, oh, Pugs, you're really selling it. Sounds like a really upbeat movie. No, it is. It's a wonderful movie. That's why oh God. Yes, there are heavy moments about a young man who has to move back in with his parents because he can't get his head right. And he's been institutionalized and his marriage fell apart because of it. And he's trying to get, he's not well. He is not well, yet they released him from the hospital. And and he runs into Jennifer Lawrence and she is messed up too. She's a girl from the neighborhood who's like she's kind of a nymphomaniac, but really she's got other issues. And then oh God, Silver Linings Playbook. That's it. That's number one. You know what? I'm going to step back. I'm going to let other people draft further Bradley Cooper movies. Oh no. In the second round of the Bradley Cooper movie draft, the representative from the Pugs and Company show, High Noon Edition, selects Rocket Raccoon, Guardians of the Galaxy. That's right. That would be my second pick. Second pick would be Rocket Raccoon. All right. Well, maybe we'll do more. I don't know. I could probably do 5, but why do that? Also born on this day in 1978. This actress, staggeringly beautiful. You see her and you're like, wow, that is a classic, beautiful blonde. But I think she might be the worst actress that has ever achieved fame in my lifetime. January Jones. Happy birthday, Mad Men's January Jones. Of course, she played the wife, Betty Draper. Was it Betty? Betty Draper? I think it was. The wife of Don Draper in Mad Men. And January Jones, born on this day in 1978. Gorgeous woman. Supposedly extremely difficult too. Very, 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 the stories on her is that she is difficult. Although, is she difficult because she would be acting really poorly and someone would say, okay, January, can you do it maybe, Jan, can you do it just maybe a little bit different? And somehow within herself, she knows that she's not a good actress. So she just, sort of got angry at that. And she's like, no, this is how I act. So I don't know, but I don't know that she's difficult. It's said that she's difficult. What I do know from watching her in performance, she's just so bland. She's just so monotone. She's just so. The most interesting she's ever been in a film or in a TV show was that show Last Man on Earth, which was a Fox show that ran for a couple of seasons, which is so funny and absolutely nobody watched it. You want to pick that up. You check that out on Hulu, I think, or maybe it's on Netflix. I don't know, but it's Last Man on Earth. It stars that guy who's the guy from Saturday Night Live? I can't think of his name. Guy who played MacGyver. That guy. He's so funny. That guy's really funny. I should know his name, but I don't. Anyway, it starred him, and he was the world came to an end. Everybody died except him, and then the whole series was about him running around the country and running into other people who are left. So he's not actually the last man on Earth. There are a couple other people, but just a couple, and one of them was January Jones. She was good in that. She was good in that because I think they didn't give her a whole lot that she had to do. Like she basically just walked around the whole time quiet and completely stunned that the world had ended. And that's probably about the extent of her range. So good for her. So happy birthday, January Jones. I'm sorry to have just shit on you for the last 10 minutes, but here we are. Okay, died on this day in 1998. Sonny Bono. Sonny Bono. Do you remember Congressman Sonny Bono? And isn't that funny to call him Congressman Sonny Bono? But give the man due respect. He was elected to the United States Congress. He was, of course, a pop star in the 60s and 70s, a television producer, a very, very powerful man in the entertainment business. His wife, of course, Cher, Sonny and Cher. They were like a big thing. And then he died. He died skiing in Lake Tahoe, a ski accident. Very, very political of him, very Kennedy-esque of him. He died while snow skiing. And then his wife at the time, Mary Bono released that, he was a drug addict. He loved his Vicodin and his Valium, and I think that's probably why he wrecked while skiing. God, well, nice, huh? I mean, what are you putting that out there for? That doesn't need to be. Yeah, And then Mary Bono herself, she succeeded to his position within the United States Congress, and she went on to be like reelected to Congress like 12 times or something. I mean, Sonny Bono won the seat and was probably there for a cup of coffee, and then he dies, and his wife just moves right into the seat, and she holds it for well over a decade. So. There you go. On this day in 1998, Sonny Bono died. Hey, wouldn't it be crazy if he had been still married to Cher and Cher was the one that ascended to his role in Congress? That would have been fun. We'd have had the honorable representative from Orange County, California, Cher, ladies and gentlemen, still with just the one name, Cher, Congresswoman Cher. Okay, let's find out what today is. Today is the day of. We like to recognize whatever today is the national day of, and every day it's a whole bunch of stupid shit. So let's see if that's any different today. Today is the national day. Oh, it's National Bird Day. Oh, hey. I don't know if many people know this about me. I am an ornithologic head. I lived in a place in Chicago, outside Chicago. And it was on a wetland preserve. So my backyard was a federally protected wetland with all kinds of Great Lakes animals and birds and stuff like that. It was a wetland area that was created like years and years ago. I don't need to go into it, but it's a really cool kind of area. And it started very, very simply when a bald eagle landed in front of the house. He was just sitting on the shore. And I'm like, what is that? Is that a chicken? What? That is the biggest bird I've ever seen. And I got close enough. I'm like, a bald eagle. And then it flew away. And I got pictures of it. And I was like, holy shit, got bald eagles in my backyard. And then over the course of the next couple of years, there were just tons of bald eagles. And I started becoming a huge fan of watching birds. Now, I don't know about, well, that's the bubbleneck crack hen. I don't know that kind of shit. No, that's a blue shade mice rat bird. I don't know the names of like birds. Like I give a shit about birds. Cardinals are cool because they're all red, and I'm like, yeah, that's a cardinal. Robins are cool because they're like really common and they have like the red breast, and so I know them, but they ain't. I guess they're not cool, but they're okay. Like I can say, oh, there's a robin, there's a cardinal. And all the rest of me are just crows. That's crows, crow. But the predator birds, oh my God, those are the ones that I fell in love with. Just sitting on the back porch there and watching the action, the interactions between the seagulls and the predator birds. We had bald eagles, not just bald eagles. We had bald eagles. We had hawks of just about every kind. I mean, I'd sit out there and I'd have a website, with the kinds of hawks, and I'd get my binoculars and I'd be looking at them and I'd look. So although I don't do the red-breasted jacket head zipper face bird, I don't know what that is, but I could look up and I could go, oh my God, okay, that's a fishhawk. Oh, look at that. Oh my God, look at that. That's a red tail. Ooh, look at that. So the hawks were cool. We had peregrine falcons, the fastest birds in the world, that would dive bomb into the water, grab a fish, and then shoot right back. Oh my God. So if you're a birder like me, Although, again, I'm a cool birder because I don't give a shit about the stupid birds. I only care about the ones that could kill me. Happy National Bird Day. Predator birds. Still, predator birds are so cool. Hawks, falcons, eagles of all kinds. And we had different kinds of eagles. We didn't just have bald eagles. Very cool. You know what else? You know what? Do I want, on the eve of January 6th, do I want to shit on the American symbol of freedom, the bald eagle? Because I have some hot takes on bald eagles that, do not mesh with what the image that we've all been taught about. The bald eagles are kind of scavengers. They're kind of dick birds, and they're not. I saw a blue heron, a great blue heron, kick the shit out of a bald eagle because they were looking for the same. They were like hunting around, like the the giant blue heron would grab a fish, right? And then start to eat the fish and then do it again. And the bald eagle would fly in because the bald eagle is looking at the heron going, oh, okay, so there's obviously fish down there. And then the bald eagle landed and started like hopping like over to where the blue heron was. This giant blue heron grabbed this eagle by its neck and just went flap and just threw it, like body slammed it, like flap, and the eagle rolled and then went and the eagle like went off. So, and I've also seen seagulls. I've seen coordinated seagull attacks on bald eagles. It's just cool. It's just cool. Eagles are not as tough and as badass as you'd think. The most dangerous predator on that lake was the great blue heron. Those things, nobody fucked with them. Nobody did. All right, it's also National Keto Day, in addition to National Bird Day. So go out there and eat a bird. I don't know. Or is keto just all red meat? I don't know. I can't. Got a heart thing. I don't have a heart thing. I have to be at a place where I am more health conscious regarding my heart, right? So I've got to get in shape. I've got to get, and one of the ways that I've dedicated myself in 2022 to do that is to just, I'm not a communist. I'm not going to cut out red meat. Come on. But I got to cut it down. Steak's too expensive anyway. And, chicken, Tom Thumb, you can get 3 packages of chicken for the price of 1 at Tom Thumb. That's an everyday deal. Tom Thumb. Terrible prices on everything except for that one little corner in the back of the store where they got the 3-for-1 deals, which I love. So happy. If you are a keto person, then I'm glad that your heart is healthy and that you're willing to put that kind of excess strain on it. So good for you. Enjoy yourself. I don't know. A steak milkshake. I don't know what the hell is all about keto, but it's also National Screenwriters Day. I fancy myself an amateur screenwriter. I have penned a number of scripts, but they all just sit in my computer, and they're all genius. They're all brilliant, but because I historically lack follow through, I've never done anything with them, and I don't want anyone to read them because I like them for myself, and I don't want anyone to read them and go, yeah, this isn't good, and then I'll go, no, you're not good. It's also National Whipped Cream Day. I like whipped cream. Whipped cream is good. You want to know a whipped cream tip? Here's a whipped cream tip. This is something that I like to do. I like to take Cool Whip. And by the way, Cool Whip now has many different flavors. You can get chocolate Cool Whip. You could get strawberry Cool Whip. There's banana Cool Whip. There's caramel swirl Cool Whip. Basically like ice cream. You take them, you put them in the freezer, and you let the Cool Whip freeze, and then you eat like ice cream. It's not ice cream. Pugs, it doesn't taste like ice cream, but it's sweet. And if you're on a diet, it's like got low calories and no carbs. And it's just, or is it low carb? I think if you get, anyway, there's some good things about it. So if you need, I'm an ice cream freak. I love my ice cream. So if that's there you go. That's my tip. That's my Cool Whip tip. Freeze it, take it out, grab a spoon, open up the plastic tub, and just eat it like that. That does not sound good. All right, how about a moment of joy? But it is. I enjoy it. How about a moment of joy? We like to start, before we dive into the awful topics of the day, we like to get into whatever the moment of joy is, something that'll put us in a good mood, something that'll remind us that humanity is not all garbage, because trust me, the next couple of hours is probably going to make us think, God, people suck. Our moment of joy today comes to us from Berlin. Here you go. I got a couple of comments on this. Maybe you will as well. Let's see here. All right. So this happened in Berlin, Germany. And Apparently, a swan, I don't know if this is a swan, I don't know what this is. It's a big bird, National Bird Day, so we may as well show somebody doing something nice for a bird. A swan in Berlin got disoriented and it somehow flew out of the river below and was walking around on the sidewalk, and it looked confused, and it was all like, hey, this isn't water. And so an old German lady saw the swan and she did this. There it is. Is that a swan? Yeah, it is. Oh man, old lady has handled animals before. Look at her. Can I point something out? Okay, the mobility of this woman out there walking around suggests to me that she's not 95. But why is she presenting herself like a 95-year-old woman? Look at the scarf and all. This woman, this is the World War. She was probably a little kid during the end of World War II, and it has just affected her. This is what post-war aging looks like. My mother is not an old woman by any stretch of imagination, especially not by modern standards of what. Betty White just died at 99. She looked great. And up until a couple of years ago, Betty White was, doing commercials and being on TV and acting in movies. So come on, let's not pretend. This woman's probably like my age. This old woman, look at her. She's probably in her 50s, but she experienced the horrors of the Nazi war and all of that. And here she is. So let's see what she does. She's got the swan right now does not know what's happening. There she goes. Look at her. Grandma throws the swan right back in the water. Is the swan okay? Or did it land on its head? Its long giraffe-like neck. There it is. Look at that. Oh, happy day. Happy bird day. Happy swan. Is a swan a bird? Or is a swan waterfowl? I don't know. I just thought it fit. All right, and before we do get into all of the things that we're going to get into, this is actually trending, but I wanted to do it because it fits a category that we like to do here on the show called Douche of the Day. We used to do that on the old Pugs and Kelly show back on Live 105.3. Every day we would nominate somebody as the douche of the day, the douchebag, the worst person on earth, whatever. It's not an original concept. Many people have done it over the years, but our version of it was Douche of the Day. This occurred at a middle school basketball game. We're going to let it play out, and we are going to then break it down because I'm going to show you some things that happened here, and maybe you won't catch it in real time. But parents at kids' games, here we go. Let's see what happens. Basically, I'll tell you what you're looking for. Okay. A dad runs out onto the court and assaults a referee. The referee sustained a broken cheek, a broken nose, lost a tooth, and his nose was bleeding for 90 minutes. Okay. Now the guy's in court. This happened back in December. Let's just watch it play out. And then I'll break it down. Okay. Rebound. Kick it back out. Oh, well, that's a foul. Okay, so here it starts. Now the kids are getting into it. We got a little pushing and shoving. Look at this. Dads are running out. Here comes Dad. Boom! Oh, my God. Look at that asshole Dad. Just shoved 72-year-old referee. Shoved to the ground by asshole Dad. All right, now let's watch this. Let's watch this as it breaks down. Okay, let's break this down. None of this stuff is important. This is all significant. Kick it back. All right. Okay. So right here, this is where it starts. See this little thug? All right. This little thug right here comes up from behind. He gets no ball. If you're a basketball fan, there is no ball on this. He walks up from behind this kid and just basically punches him in the face. Boom, right there. All right. Smacks him. Look at him. I just smacked you. The ball goes flying. This kid is like, I don't know if he's flopping because he actually did get hit, but all right. Oh, now he's tied up with him. Foul called. Now watch. Now this little thug right here, he did it. This kid did it. And this kid was the victim. So watch how this dude reacts. It gives him a little shoulder shrug. But here's the beauty of teammates. Big man here ain't standing for it. Big man here gets him. This is how a teammate is supposed to protect the teammate. You got a guard and a center, and you got another guard being a dick to him. He's instigated it. He started it. He did everything. And now big man here, he's going to get involved. Oh, now he gets shoved from another guy. Another big man's getting involved. Kid's getting his ass beat. Look, now he's on the ground. He totally deserves it. He's a little thug asshole. And here comes the problem. All right, here comes Dad. Dad is, by the way, 6'6", 230 pounds, and a former college basketball player himself. This is the 72-year-old referee, okay? Here comes. Boom! Full on, full speed, hits him from behind, blindside. And did you see that? Did you see him fall to the ground? Now, surprise, surprise, guess who the dad is? The dad is the father of little thug asshole kid. Little thug asshole kid who started it. Turns out his dad is an asshole too. I wonder where he gets it from. Pushing it back. No, my son did nothing wrong. My son did nothing wrong. All right, so this asshole is, he's looking at some trouble. And would you be surprised to learn that he has some domestic violence charges in his past? Yeah, apparently he beats up his women too. So, okay, that's what's happening. Let's watch it again from the beginning in real time now that we've broken it down. Okay, so here. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, we'll go back a little bit further. There we go. Okay. Kick out, slap, shove. Oh, blindside shove. Big man pushes. Referee tries to break it up. Here comes Dad. Boom! Just ends that referee. And now asshole dad is like, my little charming thug did nothing wrong. And is this mom? Fuck mom too. Okay? Mom, get your ass off the court. What? Look at my baby. Your baby started the whole goddamn thing. All right. So that's how it ends. That dude's, he's facing charges. Let's see what he's charging here. Father faces assault charges for allegedly injuring ref during Kenmore basketball game. This happened in Washington, state of Washington, not the, capital. The father of a middle school student is facing second-degree assault charges after allegedly pushing a referee to the ground during a basketball game. Mark Mclaughlin pled not guilty. I didn't do it. Come on, man. There's video of it. Mark, how do you plead not?
You may be entitled.
Sorry, pop-ups. How do you plead not guilty to that? The nerve. How do you plead not guilty? The father of a middle school student is facing second-degree assault charges. Mark Mclaughlin has pled not guilty Tuesday morning. During the Kenmore Middle School game on December the 16th, McLaughlin's 8th grade son intentionally fouls another player, causing a skirmish on the court. One referee went to break the skirmish up, and McLaughlin's son is knocked to the ground during the breakup. And we saw that. We saw all that happening. That referee can be seen on the video, then immediately helping the boy up off the ground. Another referee was standing in the middle of the skirmish when McLaughlin went barreling down onto the court and rammed into him. That referee hit the floor face first, breaking his nose, cheekbones, and losing a tooth. Police reports note that several parents from both schools called 911 to tell them what they had witnessed or what their child witnessed. It took an hour and a half for the referee's nose to stop bleeding. Bail for McLaughlin was set at $20,000 based on the, quote, likelihood that the defendant may commit another violent offense. His criminal history includes domestic violence charges from 2014, which appear to have been deferred at the time. The defendant is clear. Okay, so here's the prosecutor. Prosecutor says the defendant is clearly unable to keep his temper under control, even in a room full of children and parents at a middle school game. McLaughlin himself was a standout basketball player at Central Washington University in 2012. He played for 9 schools in 6 years, including the University of Washington and Seattle University. Dude played for 9 schools in 6 years. His kid is an asshole. He appears to be an asshole. I mean, unbelievable. So that's trending today. But it's also our douche of the day. Pro tip for parents out there. During a game, during a competition, if your child is involved in it, keep your fat mouth shut to referees and to coaches. If you don't like what's going on in the game, then after the game, and I'm not talking about confronting him in a parking lot, I'm talking about the next day, call the school, make your voice heard. But this idea that enraged parents caught up in the moment who are so emotionally immature that they can't stop themselves from starting an all-out brawl and slamming a 72-year-old man to the ground, that's no way to live, people. Come on. What are we doing? These are kids. Isn't a kid being treated unfairly, and maybe even not unfairly, but whatever. Let's assume you're right. Let's assume that it is a shit referee and that your kid. Well, here's the most common one. You're at a little league baseball game. Your kid strikes out. Okay. You're what, 5 beers in, Dad, because you're drinking in the parking lot and now you're sitting in the bleachers. Your kid strikes out and you decide that from your position, it didn't look like it was a strike and that the ref blew it. The 16-year-old umpire making $10 a game is the one who blew the call. And now you've got to confront him. You are a piece, no matter how bad of an umpire that kid may have been. And I'm open to the idea that maybe that wasn't a strike. Maybe he did get the call wrong. But as bad as an umpire as that 16-year-old is, you are a far worse parent. These experiences of being screwed out of things while in a competitive setting, these ideas that a kid needs a parent to jump in and protect them from the evils of an unfair world is absolute garbage. They're called learning experiences. When your kid on the car ride home talks about how he got screwed, yeah, you talk to him about how, yeah, that's life, kid. You don't decide that I, as his father, and I'm going to take control of that. I mean, come on, parents. Also, I had a kid I went to high school with. His dad was such a consistent problem and consistent issue at games that the father was banned from attending any of the high school games. Couldn't go to any games, was not allowed on the premises. If there was something to practice, nothing. Dad was not there. So do you know what Dad did instead? Because he wasn't the field was the playing field was adjacent to a farm field, which was always plowed and flat. So Dad would take a chair and he would sit in the field with binoculars and a bullhorn and a cooler full of beer. And how do we know it was a cooler full of beer? Because someone at the school called the police on him, and the police went and arrested him right in the middle of the game. The game is going on, and suddenly there's police out there in the field. What's going on? Everybody in the stands is watching. And here it is. This kid's father is being arrested in the field. I watched my teammate, this kid, who, by the way, no surprise, was an asshole. This kid was an asshole. I hated this kid. This kid was such a jerk. But you can't really fault him for being a jerk because look at who his dad is. The jerk kid cried. He was so embarrassed in a football game. And this kid was a baller. He was a pretty good player. This kid started to cry on the sideline, watching his father, not because he was worried about his dad. He probably didn't give a shit about his dad. He probably didn't talk to his dad now. Maybe his dad's dead. Who knows? But not because he was so humiliated. You parents have to understand, you are ruining your kids when you behave in this fashion. So there you go. That's our douche of the day. Trending today, Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan is trending. That's right, the country that a lot of people didn't even know was a real country. Everybody just thought it was a made-up country for Borat. No, Kazakhstan, the land of Borat, is actually in the news because all hell is breaking loose in Kazakhstan. Don't worry, I'm not going to do a Borat impression. My wife? No, I won't. Okay, I know I just lied, but by the way, that's an interesting thing that happened in America. In lame American circles, you know, the guy that thinks they're funny, but they're not. At some point in America, the lame guy at the party shifted from doing obnoxious Austin Powers imitations, yeah, baby, to my wife. There was a moment in American history where it shifted from doing bad Austin Powers to doing bad Borat. Kazakhstan's on fire, folks. And I ain't talking about from like, some kind of, brush fire or anything like that. The people of Kazakhstan have risen up. They have basically the government has been dissolved after 2 days of people. Now you have to understand, Kazakhstan is it's not totalitarian, and it actually rates slightly better than Russia on the international scale of freedom and people's individual liberty and rights. That's not what it's called. That's just to give you an idea of what this list is. It actually rates a little bit better than Russia, but still, by American standards, by any American standards, Kazakhstan is a totalitarian government. The president of the regime, the group of people who are running Kazakhstan have been in charge completely of everything since 1991. And this demonstrate. It's illegal to demonstrate in Kazakhstan. You go to jail for a year if you're accused and convicted of demonstrating in Kazakhstan. And I imagine in Kazakhstan, if you're accused of demonstrating against the government, you're going to jail. I don't think they have like legitimate trials there. I think it's pretty sure that, if they decide that you're someone who is against the government, you're going to jail. It's the old Stalinist send them off to Siberia kind of deal. But the people of Kazakhstan en masse have come out. They've taken to the streets. They're flipping over cars. There are incredibly wild videos out there circulating. I watched an armored troop transporter, a military armored troop transporter, flying down a city street in Kazakhstan, being chased by hundreds of people with Molotov cocktails and rocks, just chucking them, and they were moving out. And then there was another amazing video where there's the entire, I don't know what city this was, but the entire police force, they had given up on every other aspect or area of the city, and the police force, these videos are out there, by the way. If you find the Kazakhstan hashtag, you can find these videos. The entire police force was brought to protect the home of the mayor of this particular town. So you had like maybe 200-300 police officers in their riot gear standing shoulder to shoulder. And then you had like 10,000 people. It was like you had a rock concert parking lot after the show of people standing about 10 yards away from this phalanx of cops that were standing there. And guess what the cops did? The cops all put their shields and their weapons down and then turned their backs. They were like, the video's out there. The cops were like, yeah, I know we're supposed to be protecting this mayor, but this mayor's kind of an asshole. We, the cops, we don't really like him either. And when we take off these uniforms, we're just like you, and we don't really like what's going on here either. So have at it. And then they burned the house. They burned the mayor's house. They burned the presidential palace. They burned Congress. Congress this morning, well, this morning among our time zone, the Congress, the parliament, whatever it is, the government. That's how it's being phrased. The government of Kazakhstan resigned. They went, yeah, we're out. There's nobody driving this ship at the moment. There ain't nobody. Actually, there is. The president is still there, but we'll see how long he lasts. But his entire cabinet, his entire Congress, the government, the infrastructure, the people who work every day to keep enacting all of these crazy totalitarian rules, they're gone. They left. They're out. So there you go. So Kazakhstan is experiencing their own January 6th type moment. They're having a lot more success. And why is this? Because overnight at New Year, the price of fuel in Kazakhstan tripled. That was enough. I'm telling you, you send the gas prices in this country up to $15, and yeah, people will be in the streets. And that's exactly what happened in Kazakhstan. Gas prices caused this whole thing. Well, I mean, 30-something years of a totalitarian regime and, a whole bunch, no freedoms whatsoever for the people. I mean, they pretend like they're a free country, but they're really not. So that had been building where people were upset. But man, when they tripled the gas prices overnight in a country, by the way, that produces all kinds of natural resources and gas and fuel and all that, they make it themselves and they just send it all elsewhere. And then the government keeps the money. And so the people who are left in Kazakhstan, they have to fight over the scraps of it. And now the scraps of it have been tripled in price. So we'll see how that goes. Kazakhstan is on fire. That's the big international news story of today. Jon Stewart is trending. Jon Stewart's trending for a pretty funny reason. Well, not funny. It's not funny, but it's Man, oh man, Jon Stewart went after J.K. Rowling's. That's right. J.K. Rowling's she's getting it from the LGBTQ community because of her stated positions on trans people and all of that. But now Jon Stewart's involved. Why? Jon Stewart's involved because, the trans thing, but I'm a Jew and she is wildly anti-Semitic. Jon Stewart calls out J.K. Rowling's anti-Semitic goblins in the Harry Potter franchise. Stewart was in disbelief the first time he saw the Harry Potter goblins on screen. Let's see here. A December 2021 episode of Jon Stewart's The Problem with Jon Stewart podcast is making headlines for the host's takedown of J.K. Rowling's depiction of goblins in the author's Harry Potter franchise. In the Harry Potter universe, goblins work at and run the Gringotts Bank. Yeah, you getting it? Who runs the banks? I'm not going. I'm just saying that's the old trope, right? That's the old cliche that goblins work and run the Gringotts Bank. Stewart drew a comparison between the goblins depicted on screen in the Harry Potter films and the anti-Semitic illustrations featured in the 1903 book, The Protocols of the Elders of Zion, which is a famous anti-Semitic book. I mean, it is the thriller of anti-Semitic literature. It is the one. It is the gold standard. And in that book, there are depictions of Jews, and apparently, and I haven't looked it up because I don't care all that much about this. I mean, J.K. Rowling's whatever. Although I suppose I should be a little bit more concerned about anti-Semitism. But I don't know anybody who hates Jews. I don't know any. That seems to me like such an old-timey thing. That seems to be like something that maybe if I was raised in the 50s or the 40s, the Jew. I don't really. That's as weird to me as people who still hate black people. Although I understand that's far more common. Maybe if Jews were a different color, maybe if Jews were more easily distinguishable, we would see more anti-Semitism. And I know anti-Semitism exists. I'm not saying that it doesn't exist. I'm just saying that in my personal universe and in my life growing up, my best friend as a kid was Jewish. And you know what? Now that I think about it, he took a lot of shit from idiots. You're a Jew. And I just always thought, but it was never a big deal for him because ultimately everybody liked him and he was a really popular kid. So, but at any rate, apparently in this book, The Protocols of the Elders of Zion, there are illustrations of Jews and they're the exact same thing as the goblins who run the banks in the Harry Potter books. So it's like she looked at the Jews from the Zion or whatever and went, it looks like a goblin. I'm going to use that as my people who run the banks. So troubling, yes. Here's how you know Jews are still where they are, Stewart said on the podcast episode, talking to people, here's what I say. Oh, okay, here's his quote. Talking to people, here's what I say. Have you ever seen a Harry Potter movie? Have you ever seen the scenes in Gringotts Bank? Do you know what those folks who run the bank are? They're Jews. And the people I say this to are like, oh, from Harry Potter? And you're like, no, that's a character of a Jew from an anti-Semitic piece of literature. J.K. Rowling's was like, can we get these guys to run our bank? It's a wizarding world. We can ride dragons. You can have a pet owl. But who should run the bank? The Jews. That's kind of funny the way he puts it that way. It is true. Everything else is a fantasy, except that when it comes to the people who run the bank, let's take the illustrations from this anti-Semitic book from the early 1900s, and let's just make them goblins. Let's just say that they're goblins. They're not Jews. They're running the banks. They also run Harry Potter Hollywood, but they're running the banks. And so, I mean, he may have a point. I don't know. I've never seen a Harry Potter movie. Although HBO Max seems to have all the Harry Potter movies, and I'm wondering if maybe I should jump into it, but I think I have missed that opportunity. I never, I was busy showing when my kid would have watched Harry Potter movies when I would have watched them with him. I was busy showing him things like Apocalypse Now. And, I did that. I made my 9-year-old watch Apocalypse Now. I might be as bad a parent as that guy on the basketball court in Washington, D.C. I don't know. I didn't make him watch Apocalypse Now because, let's be honest, he fell asleep 10 minutes into it. It's not. He can't. A 9-year. Come on, man. I'm going to introduce. Hey, 9-year-old son of mine, would you like to meet Colonel Kurtz? This is one of the great characters in the history of films. Now, he's got a lot of, issues going on in his head. He's had a rough life. 9-year-old. That's what I'm showing my 9-year-old instead of Harry Potter books. So I missed out on Harry Potter. Let's see here. Who else is trending? David Bowie is trending. This is pretty cool. Bowie's trending because David Bowie's publishing catalog has been acquired by Warner Chappell Music. David Bowie, one of my all-time favorite performers. I've said it a million times. If I had to create a list of my 5 favorite songs of all time, David Bowie's Life on Mars would be in there. It would be one of the top 3. I mean, I have to really think about it, but Life on Mars by David Bowie is such a great song. What a cool song that is. Bowie's Life on Mars. So I love David Bowie, but his catalog sold for $250 million to Warner Chappell. $250 million. Now, here's why I say that Bowie's one of my favorites, because my other favorite, one of my other, more than Bowie, certainly a little bit higher on the scale, is Bruce Springsteen. And just 2 weeks ago, Bruce Springsteen sold his catalog to Sony for $500 million. So Springsteen's work sold for $500 million. Bowie's work sold for $250 million. And I don't know. I think they got a deal at Warner Chappell, because I certainly wouldn't say that Bowie's half as good as Springsteen. I think it's more like Bowie's 80% as good as Springsteen. I think there's just a little something. I'm an American, so I can more relate to, Springsteen's more, get in the car and drive and listen to this guy tell you stories about the American experience. That's why I love Springsteen. Bowie's just cool. Bowie just had a lot of cool stuff. So, but half Springsteen, $500 million. That's what his work is worth, and Bowie is $250 million. That's what his worth is worth. I don't know if that's right, but whatever. Hey, guess who's trending? I'm so proud. I love this. I love when things specific to us trend. Give you an example. Last night, a guy by the name of Hub Arkish was trending. Now, Hub Arkish trending nationally. Or we're international, whatever. He was trending in the top 3 of Twitter, and that's rare to have like a locally based Chicago football reporter trending. Although it's actually the second time in 2 weeks, because Jeff Dickerson was trending last week, who is another local Chicago football reporter. Jeff was trending. Jeff died. Jeff died suddenly, very young, very sad story. We won't get into that. But Hub Arkish was trending yesterday. I thought that was cool. I don't even know exactly why he was. Oh, I know why he was trending. Hub Arkish was trending because he has a NFL MVP vote. And he said that he will not be voting for Aaron Rodgers. And so, people went nuts. They're like, how can you not vote for Aaron Rodgers? Well, because he's a Chicago Bear insider, for one thing. He made his case, but other people were like, no, you can't do that. But whatever. Basically, his case was that Aaron Rodgers let his team down by being deceptive and all that kind of stuff. But whatever, that's not the reason. Guess who's trending today? I love this. He was trending. When I first signed on to Twitter this morning, he was trending number one. Number 1, Happy Dirk Day. It is Dirk Nowitzki. Oh, swoosh 41. Dirk Nowitzki's not birthday, but Dirk Nowitzki's going to be, he's going to finally, I don't know why they didn't do this like a half hour after he retired, but they're gonna retire his number. What are they gonna do out there at the AAC tonight for Dirk? Hot take: Dirk Nowitzki is the best white basketball player of all time. Sorry, Larry Bird. Dirk Nowitzki is the best white basketball player of all time. Sorry, Larry Bird. But Larry Bird played on the East Coast. So, all of the East Coast corridor, they got to have one of their own as the great. Larry Bird was fantastic. Larry Bird was great. But in their prime, one-on-one, in a game of horse, whatever. My money's with Dirk. Dirk is he's an NBA MVP. He basically defeated the unbeatable LeBron James Miami Heat. Remember how good the LeBron James? He could beat LeBron all by himself. Dirk Nowitzki all by himself with a bunch of like JJ Barrera. I mean, who else are we talking about that had standout games? Dirk Nowitzki is the only guy in the history of the NBA that I've ever seen. Now, I won't even say this about Michael Jordan, because Jordan had a great team. Jordan had Pippen. Jordan had people behind him. Dirk Nowitzki won an NBA title all by himself. Just willed it on pure, unbelievable skill and just a competitive spirit. Dirk Nowitzki, 12-time NBA All-Star, 12-time All-NBA, 14-time All-Star, NBA champion, 6th all-time in scoring, NBA Finals MVP. You better believe he's NBA Finals MVP. There was nobody else to give it to. My man dominated. I have never... I'm trying to think. Okay, so, I have two homes, Chicago and Dallas. Chicago is home of my youth, and Dallas is the home of my grown-up-itude. And I also lean now Dallas as number one over Chicago because my kid is here. My kid's a Dallas side. My kid's a Texan. So what? I'm going to actively try to be different than him? No. So, but I have to say, I have never seen a local sports superstar so beloved the way Dirk Nowitzki is in Dallas. Where is his statue? Right? I mean, we got the big crazy Jordan statue in Chicago. People in Chicago don't love Jordan the way Dirk Nowitzki is loved. And you want to know why? Because Jordan's an asshole. Jordan is the greatest basketball player of all time. That's right. Sorry, LeBron. Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player of all time. But he's an asshole. People are like, yeah, you know what? But you run into Michael Jordan in a parking lot, he's going to be a dick to you. Not Dirk. I don't know anybody who's ever had a run-in with Dirk Nowitzki around the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. You're bumping into him at a convenience store. You're seeing him on the road, whatever it is. Wherever one might run into a superstar out in the wild. Nobody has a bad Dirk Nowitzki story. Everybody freaking loves this guy. The story, how Bill Murray has these stories of everybody that runs into Bill Murray is like, oh, if I got a Bill Murray story. That's how Dirk is. Everybody's got a Dirk story. One of my favorite Dirk stories comes from my buddy Paco, the late, great Clint Worth, a local comedian, genius, former producer and side player on the old Pugs and Kelly show. Boy, do I miss Paco. I was just thinking about him yesterday. Paco had a run-in with Dirk Nowitzki. Now, Paco hated the world. Like Paco, that was his whole vibe, was that, Paco was a guy who was smarter than everybody else. And he truly was. He was brilliant. He was smarter than everybody else. And he couldn't understand why other people weren't as smart as he was. So he just had a very low opinion of everybody in the funniest way possible. He could make me laugh. Started out as my little shit intern that I used to crap on. And then over time, I began to respect him, like his mind, anyway, I won't get into a whole Paco thing. But Paco was at a Starbucks near where he lived. He would go into the Starbucks every morning. And he would do whatever he does, and he'd sit there and he'd drink. And he also, Dirk Nowitzki lived. This was Dirk Nowitzki's Starbucks. And Paco told the story about how every morning, 7 foot tall Dirk Nowitzki, 7 foot tall Dirk Nowitzki would walk into this Starbucks, with the masses, with all the people in there and all that. 7 foot tall Dirk Nowitzki would walk in with a hoodie, the hoodie pulled over, and sunglasses. And he'd usually have, like he said, a newspaper or some kind of folder or something. And he'd be probably like game notes or something, but he'd have something, and he would just walk in, stand in line with everybody else, and nobody would bother him because, hey, Dirk, how are you? Hey, how are you? Good to see you. Yeah, he's German. Good to see you. Hey, man, how you doing? And nobody bothered him. Like, nobody, because everybody knew that Dirk was so cool. But what was so funny about that story was that a 7-foot tall guy thought he could go incognito by putting on sunglasses and a hoodie and speaking in a German accent. Hey, what are the chances that there are 2 7-foot tall Germans with amazing athletic builds in this town at the same time? So today's the day. Today's Dirk Day. God love Dirk Nowitzki. I love this guy. Oh, you can also click on the Dirk link, and you can read everybody saying really stupid shit. He's not even as good as Detlef Schrempf. Oh, shut up. Yes, he is. The Larry Bird argument. He's no Larry Bird. And then like 15 people. No, you're right. He is no Larry Bird. He's better than Larry Bird. Dirk Nowitzki is better than Larry Bird. So there you go. Happy Dirk Day to everybody here. He is so beloved. I can't think of another Chicago athlete who is as beloved as Dirk Nowitzki. I'm trying. I can't. I mean, maybe there's a case for Brian Piccolo. Brian Piccolo is beloved, but even Brian Piccolo is only beloved by, at this point, 70-year-olds. People who remember him playing. Walter Payton is certainly beloved by the people of Chicago, but they're all dead. These are people who are dead. I don't know. I think we're in the era of DeMar DeRozan. I really do. I think right now, you look at Chicago current athletes, DeMar DeRozan is like the most adored player in Chicago right now. So maybe he's got, but certainly not on the level of Dirk. Happy Dirk Day. What else is trending today? Oh, Jason Derulo is trending today. Did you guys? I'm sorry. I know the name, right? Yesterday I was talking about how I've retired officially from the world of competitive trivia because I understand you just as a great athlete understands when his body is no longer capable of doing the things that it once could. I have come to the point where I realize now at my age, my brain and my warehouse of trivia knowledge, it hasn't really been kept up the last 15 years or so. There are people who like Jason Derulo is a great question. Like if the trivia question was, name a Jason Derulo song, I'd go, yeah, I got to tap out on this one. Whereas 20 years ago, name a Stevie Nicks song, I'd be like, oh, where do I begin? It's like that. So I retired from trivia. I didn't know who Jason Derulo was. I got to be honest with you. I thought, this is the second time now in 2 days. Jason Derulo is not a white guy. Jason Derulo sounds to me like a white guy. Sounds like a white Italian guy. And I know he's a singer. I don't know if he's R&B. I don't know if maybe he's a rapper. I do not know. I just know the name. Jason Derulo. Jason Derulo to me, I always thought was like Derulo. It's an Italian name. I always thought Jason Derulo was an Italian guy. Turns out he's not. Turns out he is a African-American gentleman. And he got himself into a little bit of trouble. Now, I said this is the second time in a couple of days where I've had this problem. Do you know what I learned yesterday? Or no, 2 days ago. What I learned 2 days ago? Former great Dallas Cowboy linebacker Leroy Jordan, one of the greats in Cowboy history. A lot of Cowboy greats. Leroy Jordan. I just learned 2 days ago, he's not a black guy. That's not a black guy. Leroy Jordan is not a black guy. Leroy Jordan is a white guy. Jason Derulo is not a white guy. Jason Derulo is a black guy. Sometimes, we just we take shortcuts in our brain. We hear context clues like names and we make assumptions. And without any further evidence or study, we just go with what our brain took the shortcut to. So my brain took a shortcut to someone named Derulo being a white guy and someone named Leroy Jordan being a black guy. And I was wrong. And those, folks, are the pitfalls of a lazy mind. So why is Jason Derulo trending? Well, I'll tell you here. Jason Derulo is trending because, oh boy, he got into a fight in, here, we'll play it. I got video for you. He got into a fight in Las Vegas at the Aria Hotel. Give me a second here. I got to pull this up. This is going to be a little bit difficult to pull up, but it's going to be worth it. We'll watch the fight because we're going to have a nice little discussion about it. See if we can get this up and rolling. Okay. Oh, maybe it won't be as difficult. No, it's not. Okay. So here we go. Let's watch this. Now it says, okay, so the title here is Jason Derulo. Where is it? Jason Derulo attacks two fans who misidentified him as Usher, right? So the headline makes you think, oh, well, Jason Derulo is a dick. Somebody accidentally thinks he's Usher. Yeah. To which, when I read the headline, I immediately went, why would they think a white guy is Usher? See, because I thought Jason Derulo was a white guy. Turns out he's not. But he also doesn't look anything like Usher. So the headline makes you think that Jason Derulo went nuts because somebody confused him for Usher and he attacked them, right? That's not what happened at all. That's Jason Derulo was being trolled and he went off. Okay, so watch this. Here we go. All right, so I guess that's Jason Derulo, right? He's going up. This is the hotel. This is Aria Hotel in Las Vegas. He's John at somebody. Right. The escalator. He should just go his way. John, no, he gets back on the down escalator.
Record it.
There he goes.
No, put your hands down. Hands down.
Watch him.
Hands down.
A bunch of girls are excited. This is a nice celebrity moment for us.
He needs to make some money. Hey, record it. Hey, why slap him, dog? Hey, why slap him? Hey, Usher, fuck you, bitch.
Okay. All right. So the headline makes it seem like Jason Derulo just lost his shit on somebody who simply, innocently confused him for Usher. That ain't what happened. We just heard what happened. Somebody was looking to set him up. Now, this is still on Jason Derulo. You got to be able to handle your business in a better way than this. But this guy, hey, Usher, fuck you, bitch. Which is just, why would you do that? Why would you do that? All right, so let's watch.
Hey, record it. Hey, why slap him, dog? Hey, why slap him? Hey, Usher, fuck you, bitch. Why slap him?
Oh, here he comes. Oh, Derulo is getting. All right, so Derulo's fighting. Oh, hell is breaking loose. Okay. Holding him back. Oh, here he comes again. Oh, now he's going to get the other guy. Now he's fighting the other guy. Hey, Usher, fuck you, bitch. All right, and then security at the hotel, they kicked out Jason Derulo, rightfully so, because he seems to be the aggressor. Hey, Usher, fuck you, bitch. What's that about? You gotta be. Oh, shit, here we go. It's going down.
No, holy shit, bro.
All right, so there you have it. That is the story. That is the Jason Derulo attacking two people. Here, let me read the story to you now. Why not, right? Loses it in Vegas, fight guys who call him Usher. Yeah, okay, they didn't just call him Usher. It wasn't like it wasn't like, how dare you? No. It was Jason Derulo has a zero tolerance policy for being mistaken for an R&B superstar. See that right there? Fuck you, TMZ. That is not a fair representation of what happened in this story. Jason Derulo doesn't have a zero tolerance policy for being mistaken for Usher. He has a zero tolerance policy for somebody shouting, fuck you, bitch. It's the second part of what was said that actually started the fight, not what you are trying to make it seem. So you know what, TMZ? Fuck you, bitch. TMZ, right there. Oh my God. Law enforcement sources tell TMZ cops were called to the Aria Hotel during the early hours of Tuesday morning after Derulo threw fists with the men. Eyewitnesses tell us Derulo and one of the men were passing each other on an escalator when the guy seemed to troll Derulo by yelling, "Hey, Usher, fuck you, bitch." That's when Derulo got pissed and punched him right in the face, sending the dude to the floor. It didn't end there. Jason allegedly also slapped the second guy moments later, and security had to step in and break up the scrum. You can see parts of the fight in the video. Even though Jason was walking with a large dude, perhaps his bodyguard, he still charged directly at the guys after the Usher line. At the time, the two victims did not want to press charges. What's that about? But there's always the possibility of a lawsuit. Either way, they have up to 1 year to change their mind and move forward with the charges. Jason did get a trespassing notice from Aria and was removed from the property. We're told the injuries didn't require any hospital visits, even though the two guys appeared to spill some blood and they had facial wounds. We've reached out to a rep for Jason. So far, no word back. Okay, so a couple of things here. The guy who we're saying they're not pressing charges, they started it. Hey, Usher, fuck you, bitch, right? Okay, so they instigated the situation. However, that being said, Jason Derulo, you can't react that way. You can't be that much of a, you know what? They were right, Jason. You are a bitch. You are a bitch if you cannot control your emotion. You know who can't control their emotion? 4-year-olds. That's a little bitch 4-year-old, and that's what except we don't call 4-year-olds bitches because they're 4 years old, and we understand that they're not emotionally mature enough to be able to process these sorts of slights. Jason Derulo, you are a very wealthy, albeit someone, I don't know who you are, successful pop star. You need to be able to think about your bottom line. Now, I wonder if at some point he made the calculation in his head that said, you know what, if I beat the fuck out of these guys, what's that going to cost me? Maybe a couple $100,000. You know, I'm sure rich dudes make these calculations about, okay, so what if I just want to lay into somebody who says something to me in public? What if I want to break their jaw? How much is that going to cost me really? I'm worth $20 million. What'll it cost me? $100,000. And then they make this, calculation as to whether or not it's worth it to them. And maybe Jason Derulo did that. But these guys, I mean, look, they're all assholes. Everybody involved in this situation. First of all, they're at Aria in Vegas. Okay. That's like asshole central. That is the douchebag. It's not it's not. It is not the douchebag capital of Las Vegas, but it's one of them. It is one of them. It is one of the power 3 of the douchebag hotels of Las Vegas. You just stay in a normal hotel. Stay, you know what? If you want to really be a baller, stay at Bellagio, right? Stay at some place like that. But don't. Aria. Really? Jacked up prices for, I won't get into it. But the guys who were attacked by Jason Derulo, who are not pressing charges, who had spilled blood and visible injuries, I'm making a mistake. I mean, what's the point? This dude obviously made some calculation that he's willing to give you money because this is all on videotape. He's got a lot of money. He attacked you. You said something. You triggered him. Good on you. But they got a year to change their mind. And I'm certain that more people than just me on this silly little streamcast are going to get in these guys' ears and go, man, you guys could make at least, you might get like a $20,000 offer just to settle right away. Just take the $20,000. What? There was a $20,000 troll. Why not take it? It ain't going to hurt Jason Derulo. Jason Derulo probably spends $20,000 a night in a strip club. Just take it. File the charges. See where it goes. What now? I'm not saying they're right, but what I'm saying is why would they be? These guys are obviously stupid. They have 1 year. At the time, the two victims did not want to press charges, but there's always the possibility of a lawsuit. So you got to press charges. You got to be thinking, I can make a little bit of money. Stupid. He was thinking that way. Jason Derulo, I promise you that maybe not in the moment here, but there have been times in the past where Jason Derulo is maybe sitting around with other celebrities and they're like, so how do we handle it? And they've talked about it and they've talked about the calculations. And I'm sure they've had attorneys go over this with them in the past. Look, if you punch somebody in the face, it's going to be a $500,000 punch. You break their jaw, it's going to be a $700,000 punch. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. So they've made these calculations. Celebrities do. Celebrities think this through. They're not going to take all the money. It's not like, unless you paralyze the guy. You paralyze the guy or the guy falls funny and cracks his head open and he dies of like a brain bleed or something like that. Yeah, then they're taking everything. then you lose it all. They're going to be, then you get O.J. Simpson, where you have to move to a different state. You have to like protect yourself in like weird way. Yeah. So I don't understand why these guys would not file charges. Seems like just easy money. And not deserved money. I didn't say that they deserved the money. They'll just get the money because that's just how these things go. A representative at some point before it ever goes to court from Jason Derulo will contact them and say, look, drop the charges. We'll give you 20 grand. We'll settle. We'll just call it 20 grand. What, do you want 20 grand? You know, and then you say, nope. And then they go, 50 grand. And 50 grand. You say, so you can play that game with them for a while. Why not? They've got the money. They've got ridiculous amounts of money. Like I said, you know, these idiots, these pop star idiots spend 20, 30 grand on dinner with friends. You know, this is not a hard one to figure out. There are no good guys in this scenario, but there is money to be made. So why wouldn't you take it? So I want to show you another example. Celebrity trolling is a thing now where you troll celebrities. Here, let me see if I can pull this up. Trolling celebrities, you know, because you have your camera. And, you know, if you get a good reaction from a celebrity, at the very least, you might get TMZ to pay you for your video or whatever. So people are out there actively trying to instigate shit with celebrities so that they can get it on tape. My absolute favorite celebrity troll of all time came between celebrities. One celebrity who was a very big star and another celebrity who is he's a middling star. He's a Michael Rappaport. You guys know who Michael Rappaport is? He's an actor. He's a fun actor. I like him. I like him a lot as an actor. Beautiful Girls is one of my favorite movies. Jonathan Demme film. Jonathan Demme? No, it was the other Demme, wasn't it? Ted Demme? I think it was Ted. Whatever. Ted Demme. Beautiful Girls. Fantastic movie. One of my favorite movies. Michael Rappaport is incredible in Beautiful Girls. It's the first time I ever saw him in anything. I thought that guy is so funny. And this is going back like 25 years. Since then, he's done everything from, you know, roles in movies, TV. He does stand-up comedy. He's got a podcast. He was involved with Barstool for a while. And his whole mojo, Michael Rappaport's whole mojo is that he takes no shit. And he's very aggressive. And when you look at him, you're like, how is this tall, skinny redhead? How is he so confident in his aggression and in his, you know, whatever? But I like him. I find Michael Rappaport very entertaining. So Michael Rappaport runs into Timothée Chalamet, who is a major star. I love Timothée Chalamet. I'll tell you, The King on Netflix, that was the first time I ever saw him in anything. I was like, damn, I like this. Who's this kid? I never heard of him. Dune, recently saw him in Dune. Chalamet, I like him. He's a young actor. He's a young, hot actor. And I'll tell you right now, he's the new Brad Pitt. 25 years from now, Timothée Chalamet is still going to be making A-list movies. And he's going to be what Brad Pitt is now. Like, holy shit, is that? You know how we say whenever somebody looks good, they say, you look good. Yeah, you know Brad Pitt, but you look good. 25 years from now, it's going to be, you look good. You know Timothée Chalamet, or probably, you know Chalamet, but you know, whatever. All right, so this is a fun little video of Michael Rappaport running into Timothée Chalamet on the street, and it gets funny. I don't know how to start this over. So here, hold on, just let this play out. Okay, there's Chalamet. So the guy holding the camera is Michael Rappaport. I'm just gonna wait for it to start again before I hit the sound. Fuck you. Okay. Okay, that's how it starts. Here you go. Hold on. All right, come on, video. Start. Here you go. My man Chalamet. Chalamet, what up?
What's up, bro? You filming me?
Yeah, you Chalamet, right?
Yeah, we'll see you around, bro.
Act like you all that. You ain't all that. Fuck you.
Fuck you, man.
Fuck you, Chalamet. Act like you all that. Fuck out of here. I mean, come on. Chalamet, what up? Chalamet, what up, Chalamet? Like, it starts out like really nice. What up? Yeah, you Chalamet, right? Chalamet.
See you around, bro.
Act like you all that. You ain't all that. Fuck you.
Fuck you, man.
Fuck you, Chalamet. I need a t-shirt that says, fuck you, Chalamet. I love Michael Rappaport runs into Timothy Chalamet. He's got his video camera going. Michael Rappaport is a celebrity in his own right. Timothy Chalamet is just, looking at a newsstand. He's looking at something. And Michael Rappaport is, hey, Chalamet, what's up? Like he starts out like, I'm a fan. What's up, Chalamet? And Chalamet is nice in the beginning. He gives him, hey, brother, what's up? Hey, man, how you doing? Friendly, not like, please, no autograph. No, it wasn't like that at all. It was actually rather friendly. And then Chalamet says to him, dude, you filming this? And then he sees that he is filming it. And so Chalamet just goes, all right, later, man. And he turns and he walks away. Totally normal. At which point, Michael Rappaport totally reacts so poorly. Thinking y'all that? You got, what? Oh, what? Chalamet, you ain't all that. Fuck you, Chalamet. I love that video. I love it because it's so silly and so incredibly dumb. And it's two celebrities, which makes it kind of interesting. That's interesting. All right, also trending today, Aaliyah is trending. She died a long time ago, died in a plane crash. Fans respond to news that a posthumous Aaliyah album titled Unstoppable, kind of an odd title for someone who died so young. Fans responded to the news that a posthumous Aaliyah album titled Unstoppable is set to drop next month, featuring artists including Chris Brown, Drake, and Snoop Dogg. So Chris Brown is still a thing, huh? You can try and cancel some people, but, they just keep coming back. Chris Brown. Didn't Chris Brown kick the shit out of Rihanna in a car before the Grammys went? Or, yeah. Grammys. Maybe it was the Oscars. I don't know. I think it was Grammys. Then he kicked the crap out of her, like busted up her face and all that stuff. And, obviously something that, why is this kind of, hold on. Let me sit back. Let me give a thought to what I'm about to say. Is there a difference between musicians and actors as far as behavior? Like if Bradley Cooper had kicked the shit out of Jennifer Lawrence in a car, like you remember those Rihanna pictures, right? Her face was all busted up. If Bradley Cooper had done that to Jennifer Lawrence, not that they were ever an item. I'm just picking two random people, and they've appeared in films together. They've done a couple of things. So if Bradley Cooper kicks the shit out of Jennifer Lawrence in a car, and they're actors, does Bradley Cooper have a career 15 years later? Is Bradley Cooper still someone that, people in polite society talk about and welcome and all of that? Is it different in music? Does music affect the soul differently than films do? Like, well, I know that Chris Brown is also is an awful, terrible person, but oh man, do I love this song. And, I always preach about separating the art from the artist. And I guess it's easy for me to say this because I'm not a Chris Brown fan. So I don't really have to separate the art from the artist here because I don't really give a shit about the art that he creates. I just think that he's a dick. But I'm wondering if it's also, is it because he's a rapper? Is it because that he's in the hip hop world where there is an outlaw aspect to it, where we sort of, Snoop Dogg is a beloved guy, but murder was the case that they gave him. And a lot of people think old Calvin Brodus actually did kill that guy at the playground that one time. He was acquitted. He got off and all that, and then had a big hit album. Murder was the case that they gave me. And now Snoop Dogg is one of, look, if we could flip the side and start doing some people on the backside of Mount Rushmore, Snoop Dogg is a cultural icon. People love I love Snoop Dogg. I love Snoop Dogg's music though. Because I'm a Gen Xer. So the first wave of hip hop that my generation truly embraced was that mid 90s, Snoop Dogg and Dre and all that stuff. So I really like Snoop Dogg, yeah, he's done some stuff, and nobody really seems to give a crap about that. He's beloved. I don't know that Chris Brown is beloved, but I don't know. At any rate, he's being popped as one of the top guys involved in this Aaliyah song album. You got Drake. And Snoop Dogg too. Yeah, Chris Brown, Drake, and Snoop Dogg. What has Drake done? Is his biggest crime being involved with Degrassi? Is that his? Let's see what else is happening here. We got a trend. See now this. I guess I have to mention it because it is a very big story and it's a tragic story and it's trending. So you got somebody comes up to you and says, "Hey, did you hear about?" You got to say, "Yeah, I did." Philadelphia is trending. The Fairmont neighborhood of Philadelphia had a big fire last night. 13 people dead in a Philly apartment fire. Many of them were children. These were low-income housing apartments. They were the classic Philadelphia row houses that we always see. Some of these row houses have been purchased by the state or maybe the government. I don't know how the breakdown works, but they've been converted into low-income housing. And last night, a fire broke out in one of these Philly row houses, and 13 people are dead. A lot of them are children. Tragic is all you need to know about it. So we'll move on, but there you go. That's something that happened. That's something that a lot of people are talking about. Hold on. Breaking news. Attorney General Merrick Garland, the feckless weasel turtle looking bitch that he is. I hate this guy. He is speaking. Attorney General Garland speaks about Department of Justice January 6th probe. Hold on. Let's give this a listen if we can. We'll do it this way. I don't know if this is going to be big breaking news because CNN is a bit of a ridiculous whore tease with their breaking news things, but let's see.
With increasing numbers of individuals having breached the Capitol, members of the Senate and the House of Representatives, including...
Okay, here we go.
The peaceful transfer of power from one administration to the next. Those involved must be held accountable, and there is no higher priority for us at the Department of Justice. It is impossible to overstate the heroism of the Capitol Police officers, Washington, D.C. Metropolitan Police Department officers, and other law enforcement officers who defended and secured the Capitol that day. They demonstrated to all of us and to our country what true courage looks like. Their resolve, their sacrifice, and their bravery protected thousands of people working inside the Capitol that day. 5 officers who responded selflessly to the attack on January 6th have since lost their lives. I ask everyone to please join me in a moment of silence in recognition of the service and sacrifice of Officer Brian Sicknick, Officer Howard Liebengood, Officer Jeffrey Smith, Officer Gunther Hashida, and Officer Kyle DeFreitag. I know I speak for all of us in saying that tomorrow, and in our work in the days ahead, we will not only remember them, we will do everything we can to honor them. In the aftermath of the attack, the Justice Department began its work on what has become one of the largest, most complex, and most resource-intensive investigations in our history. Only a small number of perpetrators were arrested in the tumult of January 6th itself. Every day since, we have worked to identify, investigate, and apprehend defendants from across the country. And we have done so at record speed and scale in the midst of a pandemic during which some grand juries and courtrooms were not able to operate. Led by the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Columbia and the FBI's Washington Field Office, DOJ personnel across the department in nearly all 56 field offices, in nearly all 94 United States Attorney's offices, and in many main justice components, have worked countless hours to investigate the attack. Approximately 70 prosecutors from the District of Columbia
Okay.
and another 70 from other
I
U.S.
don't
attorneys'
I don't really
offices
care about the
DOJ
low-hanging fruit.
have
The reason I
participated in
hate this
this
guy
investigation.
is because
So far, we have issued over 5,000 subpoenas and search warrants, seized approximately 2,000
I don't care about the
devices,
Jenna Ryans. Look, I'm glad that they're getting their little
hours of video footage,
comeuppance, but that's not what the Justice Department should be focused on.
we have received over 300,000 tips from ordinary citizens who have been our indispensable partners in
All
this
right, what's the
effort.
point of this, Merrick Garland,
The FBI
Attorney
records
General? Are you going to announce
photos
chart?
of persons in connection with
Exactly,
events
Jeff
of
Glenn.
January
Earn your
6th.
paycheck, Mr. Attorney General. Tell us you are opening a criminal investigation into the previous administration and members of Congress who aided and abetted in what happened.
As of today,
Oh,
we have arrested and charged more than 725 defendants in nearly all 50 states and the District of
low-hanging
Columbia
fruit.
for their
Regular
roles in the
people.
January 6th attack.
Stop it with the regular people.
Charging the perpetrators, we have followed well-worn prosecutorial practices. Those who assaulted officers or damaged the Capitol face greater charges. Those who conspired with others to obstruct
Low-hanging fruit. You know, this is like Jeffrey Epstein's jail guards being the ones held responsible for his death. And we're not looking any further.
Accepted their responsibility early and cooperated with the investigation. In the first months of the investigation, approximately 145 defendants pled guilty to misdemeanors.
We'll go a little bit longer today, folks. We won't just end it in 7 minutes. I got the other stuff we want to talk about. This is pretty big breaking news, as this turtle man has been in his shell for the last couple of months, saying absolutely nothing about this.
Attention can properly focus on the more serious perpetrators.
Oh, there you go. Hold on.
In complex cases, initial charges are often less severe than later charged offenses. This is purposeful, as investigators methodically collect and sift through more evidence. By now, though, we have charged over 325 defendants with felonies.
Low-hanging
Many
fruit.
for assaulting officers, and many for corruptly obstructing or attempting to obstruct an official proceeding.
Regular everyday
20
citizens
defendants charged
taking the
with
brunt.
felonies have already pled guilty. Approximately 40 defendants have been charged with conspiracy to obstruct a congressional proceeding and or to obstruct law enforcement. In the months ahead, 17 defendants are already scheduled to go to trial for their role in felony conspiracies. A necessary consequence to the prosecutorial approach of charging less serious offenses first is that courts impose shorter sentences before they impose longer ones. In recent weeks, however, as judges have sentenced the first defendants convicted of assaults and related violent conduct against officers, we have seen significant sentences that reflect
Oh,
the
this guy, this
seriousness
is killing
of
me.
these offenses, both in terms of the injuries they caused.
All right. We'll see where this goes. He seems to be just blowing smoke. I don't know that. I'm hoping that something happens here. Jeff Glenn in the chat room says that I wish Garland was VP and Harris was the AG right about now. Well, I understand why you would want Harris to be the Attorney General, because she'd have gone after him.
Will not be our last. The Justice
Hold on.
Department remains committed to holding all January 6 perpetrators at any level accountable under law.
Any level. I like
Whether they
hearing
were
that.
present that day or were otherwise criminally responsible for the assault on our democracy.
Okay.
We will follow the facts wherever they lead.
All right.
Because January 6 was an unprecedented attack on the seat of our democracy, we understand that there is broad public interest in our investigation. We understand that there are questions about how long the investigation will take and about what exactly we are doing. Our answer is, and will continue to be, the same answer we would give with respect to any ongoing investigation. As long as it takes, and whatever it takes for justice to be done consistent with the facts and the law. I understand that this may not be the answer some are looking for, but we will and we must speak through our words.
All right, so why is this important? Well, because one of the reasons that I absolutely despise Attorney General Merrick Garland is because he seems to have been hiding. He seems to have been offered absolutely nothing by way of what's going to happen to the people other than you and me. You and me are the ones, you broke a window, you're going to jail for a year. Okay, right. That seems fair. You did break a window, but it's not just the low hanging fruit. There must be some form of consequence for the enablers. And there has been nothing. There's been no talk of it. This guy's been hiding in his turtle shell. And I don't know. Okay, so what? So now, today, right now, at this moment, he's saying, yeah, I know I've been hiding, but it's because we've been working, which I suppose is good. I suppose that's, you know what? Okay, so here you go. Really short. That's it. That's all you get, Merrick Garland. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for reminding us all that you look like a fucking turtle. And thank you for finally addressing the fact that you seem to have been absent from this entire process the entire time. I mean, when I start saying to myself, boy, it'd be great to have a can-do guy like Bill Barr heading up justice, there's something wrong with you. There is something wrong with you when I start pining for the likes of a Bill Barr, who is certainly the most corrupt attorney general of my lifetime. I can't say in history, because then some super smart guy will be like, nah, in the Andrew Johnson administration, Phineas T. Fogmesty, he was the attorney general and he actually sold goats. I don't know. It's okay, fine, that happened then. But in my lifetime of the attorney generals that I remember, okay, that's enough of that. We don't like to get political. This is not political. This is patriotic. This is more about, our country, our country. Shut up over there on the left. Shut up over there on the right. You guys all need to shut up, and the rest of us in the middle need to admit that we love America and that we need to fix things, and certainly things need to be changed and tweaked and all of that that's fine. That's understandable, and we can have those debates. But you motherfuckers on the right and you motherfuckers on the left, sit this out, or we'll throw all you in jail. I'm going to turn this democracy car around. We'll go home. So Merrick Garland said, did I bog out before? Is he saying something important? Hold on. Looks like here on the side, they might be saying something important. Real quick, check back in.
Normal.
Oh, he's taking questions.
Adhering to the department's long-standing norms is essential to our work in defending our democracy, particularly at a time when we are confronting a rise in violence and unlawful threats of violence in our shared public spaces and directed at those who serve the public.
It's such a complicated thing, because the people who were, breaking windows and, hang Mike Pence, all those people, they believe that they were fighting for democracy. But now, a lot of them seem to think that their democracy means, people who look like them, people who live like them are the only ones who matter. And that ain't America. That ain't America. A lot of people matter. We are a melting pot. People came here from all over the world, brought different cultures, brought different things in that bouillabaisse, that stew, that whatever you want to call it, that chef salad that was made in the wake. That's America. America is salad with egg on it. America is got all kinds of different things. There's raisins in there. That may not be your cup of tea, but you know what? Eat around it, because that's what America is. It's like a big giant stew with all kinds of things in there. Ugh. What are those, lima beans? I don't like lima beans in this America stew. Well, then don't eat them. You know what? Don't eat them, but they have a right to exist in the stew. You can pick out the lima beans. Oh, that's so tiring as a white man. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. I want to get back into the show. I want to get back into what we were doing, but I'm worried that Merrick Garland's going to say something important here, and I don't want to miss it.
Have been targeted. School personnel and their families have been threatened.
Oh, Jesus. All right. Is he talking now about masks? Okay, get back to... tell me when you're going to arrest Howley. Tell me when you're going to arrest Marjorie Taylor Greene. Tell me when you're going to arrest Lorena Boebert, who led a tour the day before, on this day, 1 year ago, led a tour to a bunch of people who the very next day would storm the Capitol. She gave them a tour showing them where everything was so that when they got in there, they would know, they wouldn't waste their time running up and down hallways looking for the chambers so that they could find Mike Pence and murder him. When are we going to see some sort of discussion of that stuff? That's not, yeah, you're talking like a crazy man. No, I'm not. I'm talking like someone in the middle. That is not crazy far right, and that is not crazy far left. Those are things that happened. The January 6th committee has all of the phone records. I almost thought about this morning. I was thinking about taking tomorrow off, just not doing a high noon show, not doing a pillow talk show, certainly not engaging at all with James Parker. I love James. We had a wonderful show last night. But man, tomorrow is too volatile a day, and it's one of those days where, I might say things that I don't really think. See, my whole thing is that your politics should be private. You shouldn't share your politics. If you have a personal relationship with somebody and you hang out with them and you love them for other reasons, because, people are complex and, a well-rounded person is a good friend to have. So just because they may have voted different from you, you might find other areas that you respect and hold in high regard and find admirable about this person. And that's why you should only share your deepest political. That's why there's a curtain in the voting booth, because you're supposed to be private about this shit. It's almost like, Jesus didn't want the proselytizers. He didn't want, we now have political that's kind of a difficult one to say. Political proselytizers. And just stop it. Nobody fucking cares, man. I don't care who you vote. I don't care what. Stop it. We have a curtain. There's a curtain when you go into a voting booth, and it's supposed to be private, and you're not supposed to talk about it. So stop it. I'm thinking about not doing a show tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see. I don't want to get into it. I don't want to gin people up on either. And then here I am. Why? Because Merrick Garland is talking. And I am so undisciplined on these guys. I couldn't just ignore it. I had to get into it. A.G. Garland, it says, actions Department of Justice has taken will not be our last. Teased me, you big brute. All right, let's get back into... I've really been disappointed in Merrick Garland over the last few months. All right, so we talked about the Philly fire as a terrible, tragic thing. Jill Scott is trending. R&B singer Jill Scott, big woman, pretty woman, big woman though. She's a big woman. She's pretty though. She is. I mean, she's definitely got her fans. She's got big old boobs, and she certainly has a look that appeals to not me, but she certainly has a look that appeals to a lot of guys. Again, not me. It's not the look that I'm drawn to, but hey, man, that's it. Like I said, we are a big stew. We are a bouillabaisse of all kinds of different people and all kinds of different things in this country. And if you're into Jill Scott, good for you. Jill Scott, R&B singer. Now, why? Why are you talking about Jill Scott, and why is Jill Scott trending? Apparently, she's got a sex tape. Or not. No, she's got a sex tape. No, she doesn't. There's no sex tape. There's a sex tape. There's a Jill Scott sex tape out there, and I'm going to find it, and then I'm going to show it to... No, you're not, because you see, that was just something that was put out by somebody who was trying to hurt her. Jill Scott sex tape. No, there is no Jill Scott sex tape. That's why Jill Scott is trending, because there either is or there isn't a Jill Scott sex tape. And Black Twitter is going crazy. Oh, no, Pugs, what do you mean Black Twitter? No, it's a thing. That's a thing. There's a Black Twitter. There's a white supremacist Twitter. There's regular Twitter where I hang out. But then there's also, Black Twitter where, it's, you can find it. It's out there somewhere. It's certainly under hashtags. If you ever want to see what Black Twitter is, just go to the Jill Scott hashtag and you can read it. They even call it Black Twitter. Oh my God, Jill Scott has set Black Twitter on fire. I was really surprised So I clicked on it and I start reading, and I probably read 50 different tweets under the hashtag Jill Scott sex tape, or just sex tape, or just Jill Scott. Doesn't matter. You can use any of them. I read about 50 of them, and I'm like, what am I not seeing? I go to Bing, Jill Scott, and I pull up all these Jill Scott pictures, and I'm looking at them, and I'm going back to Twitter. I'm looking at the pictures. I'm like, she's pretty. She's got pretty eyes. Pretty smile. Wow. Yeah, very pretty. But then there's people that really, like, one guy said she was the sexiest female artist of all time. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Jill Scott, sexiest female artist of all time. What? So, but hey, to each their own, man. I mean, I like one kind of gal, and you can like that kind of gal, and I'll like mine, and you like yours, and we can be buddies, and we can have beers together. That's fine. That's perfect. But there is a big debate going on whether or not there is a Jill Scott sex tape, and there are a whole bunch of thirsty ass dudes who are trying to find it. And don't you tell them that there is no actual Jill Scott sex tape, because they will fight you. They will Twitter fight you. There is. So I wanted to bring that up. She's trending, and it's actually a pretty fun hashtag if you want to read it. Hashtag, another thing that's trending, cannabis as candy. This is something that people are doing where they're like, you take a candy bar. Let's make it weed. Really stupid stoner humor. But I found some interesting things in that thread where they were showing actual cannabis candy. And I don't know if you're familiar with this, but me having just emigrated, or wait, what is it? Would that be right? Emigrate? Well, I just moved from Chicago, a state that has legalized weed. And I had never had cannabis candy. I had never had edibles. Everybody knows edibles, man. They're the best. They're the way to go. I started buying edibles. Can I say that? I could say this because my mom likes them. My mom likes edibles. Whatever. So I got her some edibles. It's legal. She also likes a vodka every now and again. She doesn't give a shit. She is a grown ass woman who has paid her dues. And if the state has decided that all of this shit is legal now, she will sit there and watch a movie and eat a prepackaged cannabis Oreo cookie, or whatever. So I try to. I don't really like the edibles. I don't. I'm a vape guy. I like the vape oil now. That's like my whole thing. If I was to like when I resume, because we're abstaining here at the 1%er compound. When I resume, I'm gonna have to. And I will resume when Beto O'Rourke becomes governor of Texas and legalizes weed. That's apparently the next time I'm gonna get to do it. No, I'll go home. I'll go home to Chicago at some point before that. But I like the innovation of marijuana cannabis consumption through the legalization has been beautiful. It has been amazing. I mean, you used to remember like stoners. It's like you could walk in from a yard away. Dude in the next yard smoking a J, man. You could smell it because it was just now with vapes. Now with vapes, it's people. I know people who vape. I know people who vape in this state, who I'm friends with, who will just walk down the street. Well, let's not kid ourselves. There's no like walking here, but if you out in the open, standing there on a corner in a state like Texas where it's illegal, and they'll pull out their vape pen and they'll just go, and they'll take a hit and put it back in their pocket because it doesn't smell. Doesn't smell like weed. So nobody's going to go like, oh, that's weed. No, because every other douchebag hipster is out there with their own vape pen. And I've convinced myself that the majority of people you see out walking around, if they look like a stoner and they're sucking on a vape pen, that vape pen is weed. And then what are the cops going to do? Bust them? And then they're going to have to take the little vape canister? It doesn't look like weed. It's indistinguishable from any other kind of vape juice or vape whatever. They're going to send it to the lab instead of just busting a guy with a plastic bag filled with some shake in it. Now we got to involve the crime lab. Now we got to get them to break down this. And is there a THC content in this vape juice? Vaping's great. I don't, like I said, I'm not a big fan of edibles though. Edibles more of a full body high, more of a, I like the head high. I like the creative aspects of it. And, you get that with vape. And vape, better on the lungs. You're not ingesting the carbon, the burnt tar. Although there's probably other problems with vaping that we don't know about right now. Like probably much worse, Well, vaping makes you grow horns and a tail. We just don't know it yet because you got to vape. We didn't know this back then, but 20 years of vaping makes you grow horns, a tail, and you get webbed feet, but only after 20 years of doing it. Like, see, we're only this is like in the 80s in Hollywood when they used to do, here, have some cocaine. It's totally safe. It's not addictive in the slightest. Isn't it wonderful? So that's what they thought about cocaine. And then like enough years went by and they're like, yeah, we were wrong about that. So who knows? Maybe we'll find out that vaping is worse than actually smoking marijuana. But as of right now, it seems like it's not. And also, here's another problem with vaping weed. How are parents going to catch teenagers getting high now? They won't. There will be no way. It doesn't smell. It doesn't smell like anything. It's again, before you get grounded, hold on. The parents got to send down your vape cartridge to the lab and have it broken down so we can tell if this is weed or not, because we don't know. It's not like it used to be, where if a kid brought a bag of weed in his backpack into his room, the entire house is going to smell like weed. Is there a skunk outside? No, that's not the case with vaping. So, at any rate. All right, so cannabis candy is trending. Boy, I'll tell you, I can't wait for Texas to legalize. I am down here. I've got ideas. I got plans. Look, we're not going to get a license. I'm not going to get a license to grow. I'm not that well connected. Unfortunately, with all of these states that are legalizing, the regular guy does not get rich off it. They don't. The state offers licenses to people, and it's not like the dude who owns the liquor store is now going to get himself a weed license to go with his booth. No. The people who, like, who in Texas is going to get a weed license? The dirtbag son of the owner of the Dallas Morning News. That guy's going to get a weed license. Or, somebody, half the neighbors in this 1%er compound area that we live in here in Island Park, they're the ones who are going to get the weed licenses. Trust me, it ain't going to be just regular people. But there is residual economy that can be built doing other things around it once it's legal. So that's my lane. That's the lane that I'm going to try and get into. Although I have two friends who have grow licenses in Oklahoma, because apparently in Oklahoma they just give it to anybody. Whatever. But that'll be great. That'll be great for Texas. I'm telling you. And that's why I think it's a very dangerous election coming up here in Texas. Not dangerous for the status quo, because you've got Abbott, who is the sitting governor. You got Abbott. Because he's in a wheelchair, so sitting. And I'm fine making these jokes because that son of a bitch sucks. So you know what? So you got Abbott, who is the sitting governor, and he's being challenged. He's very right, very incorrect in his thinking, but very right-leaning. He panders to a group of people who are, people who ain't gonna give you free weed, or not free weed, but legal weed. Nobody's giving you free weed, but they ain't gonna give you legal weed in the state. So you got him. He's on the right, and then he's being challenged by this Don Huffines guy who's way on the right. And look, if one things we've learned about guys who are way on the right, doesn't matter who wins the primary. This Huffines guy, he loses, or and it becomes Beto O'Rourke versus Abbott. You think Huffines is just he's going to run as an independent. He's going to siphon, but some crazy's going to happen because these people don't think things through. These people are just in it for the ego and the power and in the moment. That's it. And Beto, man, the one issue that every single Texan that I know, even the far right guys and the far left guys, the one issue that brings them together is legalization. Now, if that's the case, Pugs, then why hasn't it been done yet? because the people who have been in power here, and you can go all the way back to the Bush era, the people who have run the state government in Texas have always had a little bit too much Jesus in them. And that's because they're propped up by the evangelicals, and there's a whole lot of money. And so, you go from Bush to Perry to Abbott now. Like, these people, the donors, the people who give them money, are in that anti-weed group. Now, everybody else in the state is not in that group, but the people who prop these people up are. Beto O'Rourke, he comes in and he goes, all right, so I'm going to get all the crazy lefties. I'm going to get all the moderates. And I'm going to get all the relatively, never mind, I won't say it. We'll get all the lefties, and I'm going to get all the moderates. Of course, there's a big chunk of the state, the bubbas, if you will. They're going to go for the right like they always do, unless I offer the bubbas legal weed. And now you're going to get people who do not vote, people who would never vote, but they would sit there and tell you about how I hate them lefty liberal. Those people who don't vote, they're going to vote for the dude that's going to give them legal weed, because they ultimately don't think all that much about politics. They only think about themselves, and all they can think about is, man, would that be cool if I could just, smoke weed on my front porch and not worry about being a criminal? I'm telling you, that is the unifying issue in this state. And it's not just me sitting here saying it. It's been the unifying issue in a number of states. Like, wherever this appears on the ballot, it's always the person. Now, the only thing that could screw this up, and I wouldn't put it past Sleepy Joe to screw this one up, but if before Election Day in Texas, there is some kind of federal, legalization, which is why I don't think there's going to be a federal legalization. I think that the Biden administration and the Democrats understand that there are a lot of state houses that can be won if the more progressive or Democratic candidate is the one who comes in with the legal weed. But there's also, states where both the right and the left, where you've got a particularly savvy a Republican candidate who's like, nope, I'm for legal weed too. God bless those people, because honestly, it is the one issue in America that seems to not be divisive, except for the crazy old Karens, right? And isn't it time to not be concerned about what the crazy old Karens think anymore? Isn't there time? Sit on the bench, Karen. I know you're not going to get high. That's fine. But everybody else who has grown up in the last 30 years understands that marijuana, the demon weed, is far less bad for you than alcohol. And somehow we got no problem with alcohol. We're blowing out our livers. We're getting hungover. We're feeling You know what happens when you smoke too much weed? You fall asleep. That's what happens. You fall asleep. Maybe you fall asleep with a Whataburger bag on your chest, on your couch at 4 a.m. But that is what happens. And you know what happens when you wake up? You go out on New Year's Eve and you're drinking and you're doing shots and you're puking it up. Make room for more. You wake up in the morning and guess what happens? You feel like absolute garbage. You smoke an entire quarter of weed in one night, which I don't think is possible, but I'm just using it for demonstration purposes. You smoke an entire bag of weed, and guess what happens at 8 o'clock in the morning? You get up and you go to work. You get up and you go to work. You know why? Because the alcohol, you ever rub alcohol on the outside? The alcohol on the outside of your skin, and you feel your skin immediately dry up. Well, that's what's going on inside. When you're drinking alcohol, why do you think you're so thirsty? God, mouth, I'm so tired. Yeah, because you've ingested a quart of alcohol in the last 10 hours. It's inside you now, and your body liquids, your water is all being sucked up by the alcohol. It doesn't happen. That's what a hangover is. It's a dehydration. It's, your body going, all right, you did something rough to me last night. You don't have that with weed. And, up until about up until probably about the year 2000, there was so much misinformation about it. And people just, what do you mean weed isn't as bad for you as alcohol? Yeah, it's not. It's not as bad for you as alcohol. It's just not. I know. Well, what's your proof? Me, college. College is my proof. Alcohol would have me driving drunk, getting into fights because alcohol makes you aggressive and surly, doing stupid shit. And you know what weed got me to do? Weed got me to watch, the entire Star Wars trilogy in 1992 on a couch at a party and talk about all the things that I missed when I didn't watch it stoned. So stop it. But yeah, it was probably about the year 2000 when people started to embrace the idea that, yeah, we've been lied to all these years. We've been so lied to about what this is. It gets you high, it gets you giggly, it relaxes you, it makes you eat, it helps with your. There are so many other insidious diseases that are out there that are riddling people's bodies, that are damaging them for eternity, that are going to kill you. And these people's quality of life for forever could have been improved if they would just, get a little bit of weed in them. Their appetite, they feel calmer, they feel more happy, they feel more. We're terrible people. And why do we do that? Because of booze. Because the booze was big money, and people thought, well, if people can smoke weed, then there's no way that they're going to buy beer anymore. Oh, shut up. That is so stupid. That is so dumb. People are still, nothing goes better than a beer and a joint. Are you kidding me? You think that's like peanut butter and jelly? You think that because you make weed legal that suddenly nobody's going to buy beer? People are going to buy more beer because since we're smoking, may as well have a beer. I mean, well, you can't legalize it, you see, because people can grow weed in their backyard, and there's no way for the government to make money off that. You can't tax something that grows wild everywhere. People have stills. People make their own beer in their own garage. Oh, shut up with all that stupid. All right, man, we are rolling. We are rolling into hour 3 because I got more stuff to talk about. KFC is trending today. How about that? You know why KFC is trending? Because they're introducing something. And I've said, the chicken wars, the great chicken wars. I have said that KFC is my favorite of the fried chicken places. I enjoy Popeyes from time to time, but if we're talking about just flavor, KFC's original recipe can't be beat. It's the best. It's good. Their chickens are mutant tiny dwarf chickens. Chicken breast at KFC is about that big, whereas a chicken breast at Popeyes is, like twice the size, but whatever. I'll take this much of something that tastes delicious over this much of something that it's all right. It's all right. It's good. Fried chicken is good. Fried chicken's like ice cream. You really can't have bad fried chicken. You can't really. It's there are degrees of better fried chicken, and KFC is my number one. But KFC is introducing something that they are calling Beyond Meat, and it's for the vegan community. And here, let me show you. Well, I want to show you this. These are a bunch of people tasting it, so we'll get a good idea of what it tastes like from people who are tasting this KFC Beyond Meat launching this year. Here, pull this up. Yeah, okay, good. All right, let's watch this. These are people trying the KFC Beyond Meat. All right, let's go. Here we go. All right.
This is mashed potatoes.
Hold on. Mama said don't talk with your mouth full.
It looks like chicken and smells like chicken.
It tastes like the microwavable like chicken nuggets, like kind of pre-made that you heat up.
It's chewy, but the flavor of it kind of camouflages that it's not meat. It's good for what it is. Like it's definitely not chicken nugget, but it's good for what it is.
It's sort of like some of the worst chicken nuggets you've ever had as a kid.
Okay, if I would have eaten that and nobody would have said anything, I don't think I would know that it's not chicken. But now that I know, I'm like, okay, it has a slightly different texture.
It literally tastes like mashed potatoes. No, I don't know where you're getting that from.
All right, so there you go. Those are some people who have tried the Beyond Chicken from KFC, and I think the best one was sort of tastes like the worst chicken nugget you've ever had in your life. That's not exactly a ringing endorsement. That's all right. So, this is. Do you think this is? Well, Pugs. KFC is just concerned about the health of their, They're not concerned about. This is not a health issue. This is not about health. KFC doesn't give a shit what your health is. These are still the bad part about chicken at KFC is the breading. The chicken is fine. Chicken is actually good for you. If you could just exist on chicken, you'd probably be 20 pounds less than you are now. That's just a truism. Chicken breast, white chicken meat, that's good for you. It's well, I don't know. I mean, good for you. Yes, it's not bad for you. I'll say that. It's the breading. It's the greasy breading and all that. That's the shit that's really bad for you. So you're just taking this chicken. The one thing that's actually good for you, you're getting rid of, and you're putting something else, some kind of chemical, and then you're just wrapping it or rolling it in the KFC, the delicious KFC breading and 11 herbs and spices and all of that. And you're just going, here, it's vegan, it's healthy, because that's what we're about here at KFC. We're about you being healthy. No, that's not the metric. They don't give a shit. It's not about health. They may present it that way. We are now offering healthier options. No, you're not. That is not healthier. That is still garbage. Here's what they're doing. This is what they know. Vegans, like the people, okay, so vegans don't go to KFC, right? And I don't know that something like this is going to make them start going to KFC, because they, in addition to being vegan, they probably also have issues with how chickens are treated. And, so this is not going to get, they probably think they might be able to lure some people who have never been to a KFC because of, they don't eat meat and they don't like the way chickens are treated. But that's not going to work either. Here's the thing. First of all, whatever this weird concoction is that is not chicken, maybe now in the early stages while it's being developed, maybe now it's like the same price as chicken, or maybe even a little bit more, because there's a lot of research and development that went into it, and that's going to be folded into the cost. We understand that. But ultimately, if it takes off and it becomes a thing, it's going to be cheaper to produce than chickens. It just is. Chickens have to be cared for. Cared for, you know what I mean? They have to be herded up. They're living things. They have to be fed. They have to be grown. They have to be, there's a lot of overhead going with getting a chicken ready to become KFC. If you can just create it like in a lab, like on an assembly line, that's first of all, that's going to cut the price for KFC way down. So if it takes up, that's a win-win. But also, it ain't going to be cheaper. It's not like it's going to be cheap. It's going to be like way more expensive than the regular chicken at KFC, which, by the way, KFC is kind of expensive. Okay. As a guy on a budget, KFC is definitely not, they don't have a value meal. You can't get out of KFC. I can't get out of KFC being full without spending easily $12, $13. And, whereas I can get out of McDonald's being full on $6. So what are we talking about here? Here's what they know. They know that vegans have money. They know that vegans and healthy people who might like this, who this might be for, they know that they have money, and they know that they will pay for this no matter what you charge. Here's a chicken breast for $14, but see, it ain't chicken. Vegans have money. Vegans represent not all of them. Come on, I know that there's the dirtbag hippie guy, but for the most part, I do yoga 3 times a day, and those people have money. Young people who are health conscious and all that, they have money. So ultimately, introducing Beyond Chicken from KFC is about the margins. It's about how much more money they can make. They're not paying as much for whatever this concoction is as they would for chicken, and they're able to sell it for more. So if the chicken costs $1 and KFC sells it to you and me for $2, their margin is $1 profit. But if this shit costs 50 cents compared to the $1, and they can sell it for, instead of $1, $3, now look at your margins. That's all this is about. KFC. The reason I'm saying this is because there was a KFC thing that went out that said that they were dedicated to getting people healthy and blah, blah, blah. No, you're not. You're dedicated to improving your margins on the delicious bullshit you already sell. Eddie Van Halen is trending as well today. Eddie Van Halen, who died last year. Of course, Eddie Van Halen, the greatest guitar player who ever lived. I don't know if that's true, but that's what they say. I'm not a guitar player. Certainly seemed good, but how do you listen to Eddie Van Halen do Eruption and then listen to, I don't know, pick a random Jimi Hendrix solo and go, oh, well, one's obviously better. No, I don't know who's better. I don't even know if those are the two that I should be talking about. I mean, is Eddie Van Halen better than Steve Vai? Is Eddie Van Halen better than Yngwie Malmsteen? Is Eddie Van Halen better? I don't know. Guys who master their instrument and then add their little personal touches to it, they're unique. They're unique unto themselves, and at some point it just becomes relative to your personal taste. So is Eddie Van Halen the greatest guitarist of all time? Some people will say as much. Why is Eddie Van Halen trending today? Because Eddie Van Halen's wife of 26 years. I guess I didn't realize that Eddie and Valerie Bertinelli were married for that long. Valerie Bertinelli has got a new book out, and she talks about Eddie Van Halen, and he's trending because apparently, and isn't this odd? Apparently, Eddie Van Halen, and when Eddie Van Halen died, it was Wolfgang, his son with Valerie Bertinelli, and Valerie Bertinelli, who were by his bedside when he took his last breath. Which is interesting because, you would think maybe Alex, his brother, Alex Van Halen, the drummer for the band, might be there. Maybe his wife at the time. Like Eddie Van Halen had a wife when he died. And it wasn't his ex-wife, Valerie Bertinelli, but on his deathbed, the people that were there were his son, Wolfgang. Understandable. Wolfgang should be there. But the ex-wife? And so Valerie Bertinelli's got this book out, and she's talking about those last moments, and she's saying all kinds of stuff that may be true. I mean, I don't know, it might be true. But I don't know. It just seems in poor taste for whoever Eddie Van Halen was married to at the time that he died. Valerie Bertinelli can vividly recall the heartbreaking words she told her ex Eddie Van Halen as he was dying of cancer in late 2020. Maybe next time, quote, is what she says. She told her first husband through tears, as quoted by People magazine, maybe next time you and I will get it right. The actress and the Van Halen rocker were married from 1981 to 2007. They share a son named Wolfgang. The iconic guitarist passed away on October the 6th, 2020. Bertinelli, now 61, is sharing her story in a new memoir titled Enough Already, Learning to Love the Way I Am Today, which was excerpted this week by People magazine. She goes on to say, I loved Ed more than I know how to explain. I loved his soul. While the couple's love for each other was undeniable, their marriage proved to be tumultuous at times. Well, 26 years. That's pretty good. I hated the drugs and I hated the alcohol, but I never hated him, Bertinelli admitted. I saw his pain. While the pair remarried to other spouses in later years, their bond endured, and it was their loving relationship that Van Halen relied on as he faced his biggest challenge, battling cancer. Van Halen made sure to remind Bertinelli how much she meant to him before his passing. It was Thanksgiving Day 2019 when Van Halen stopped by Bertinelli's home and asked to speak with her privately. After they found a quiet spot in a friend's car, he gave her a small bag, which had a pendant-sized gold bar. He purchased it while getting cancer treatments in Germany. Here's a quote now. I hope you don't think it's weird, he says. You know that I bought you, my ex-wife, this gift and didn't get anything for my current wife. He told Valerie through tears, I just love you. Bertinelli wrote that it was Van Halen's way to show her how sorry he had been for everything. He wants me to know he messed up our marriage, she wrote. Now, I contributed to our troubles too, and I am sorry for that. Bertinelli described how in the final weeks of Van Halen's life, she and their son spent every day with him at the hospital. I love you are the last words Ed says to Wolfie and me, she wrote, and they are the last words we say to him before he stopped breathing. Bertinelli said that she regrets the times when she sometimes held back from getting too close to Van Halen when he was sick. She shared that they were both married to other people at the time. Bertinelli also clarified that her relationship with Van Halen was not a contributing factor in her decision to file for a separation from her husband, Tom Vitale, in late November of that very same year. There is no chance we are getting back together, she wrote about Van Halen. So here's what she said to him. She told him, here's what she says about her relationship with Van Halen. I didn't break up with my current husband because I was getting back with Eddie Van Halen. There is no chance we are going to get back together, she wrote about Eddie. But I do know if one of us were to open up, The other one would too. And I don't want to get into all of that. I can't explain the feelings that Ed and I had for each other, she continues. Who really knows? Who really knows had he not died? I doubt it, but I did love him. I loved him more than I know how to explain, and there's nothing sexual about that love. It was more than that. And Ed and I understood that. There is no greater love than what we have between the two of us, and with that, we made this beautiful son. That's okay. That's nice things, but still, it's interesting. It's like, where was his actual wife? Like, Eddie Van Halen's current wife, who he's married to while he's dying, is nowhere to be found. But the ex-wife is there in the room. That's interesting. God bless him. Eddie Van Halen was a cool guy, man. That was a cool guy. Okay, so what else is trending? Oh my God, we gotta stop. We gotta stop. My God, I got things I gotta do today. Oh my God. All right, you know what I'm gonna do? Let's jump to live time right now, and let's see if anything new is trending, as opposed to all of these stories that I had accumulated this morning to talk about. My God, look at us going on 3 hours. Oh boy. Let's see here. We got anything new trending? Let me see. What is trending since we've been on? I'm guessing Merrick Garland. Yeah, number one, Merrick Garland. National Bird Day. We talked about that. Pope is trending. Pope Francis has criticized couples who choose to have pets instead of children as selfish. Oh, Pope Frank. Arguing that their decision to forego parenthood leads to a loss of humanity and is a detriment to civilization. All right. Kazakhstan, is still trending. State of the state, New York. Apparently, the governor of New York is going to give her state of the state. Kyrie Irving is set to make his debut for the Nets on Wednesday night against the Pacers. That's it. Sundance, Jon Stewart, a lot of the things we talked about earlier. Catholic Church, Grammy Awards. Breaking news, the Grammy Awards, originally scheduled for January 31st, were postponed for a second year in a row because of the pandemic. A new date for the awards ceremony is expected soon. Let's see if there's anything else. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. Okay, I got you. Dirk! Look at Dirk. Dirk is still hanging in there. Hours later, Dirk is still in the top 10 trends. Good for you, Dirk. Happy Dirk Day, everybody. It is Dirk Nowitzki Day here in Dallas. The game tonight is gonna be a big one. What are they gonna do? Retire his number? They're gonna give him like a banner. They're gonna let him raise a banner up with his name and jersey. That's always cool. What they should do, honestly, is they should unveil a statue. There needs to be a Swish 41 statue right there. The way we in Chicago have the Jordan statue. And look, I spent 10 minutes talking about Dirk. I love Dirk. Dirk, best white basketball player of all time. Michael Jordan has a beautiful, magnificent statue that sits in front of the house that Jordan built, as they call it, the United Center in Chicago. And Dirk should have a statue too. But if we're given, Jordan should have like 10 statues. I'm not saying that Dirk is as good as Jordan. I'm not, because I know that some of my friends in Chicago will be listening to this going, "What the fuck, dude? They're not the same." I go, no, but they look. Of course, they're not. No, but best white player ever. Okay, all right, I'll give you that. I'll give you best white player ever. But he's still, there's like 30 black players though between the best white player and Michael Jordan. But there should be a statue. There should be a Dirk. All that Dirk has meant to us and the people here in North Texas. The man is amazing, and he deserves himself something like that. And I'll tell you, one of the great things about going to the United Center in Chicago is, where do you meet? If you are meeting up with people, if you are going to, just meet me at the stadium. Oh my God, it's going to be a madhouse. How am I going to meet you at the stadium? Magic Chicago words. meet you at the Jordan statue. That's where everybody meets. That is the place. If you are going, yeah, we'll meet up for the concert at the United Center. It'll be great, man. It'll be fun. Where you want to meet? Are you in the parking lot? Maybe we'll meet at a restaurant down the road or something like that. No, just meet at the Jordan statue. So we need something like that here at the American Airlines Center. I mean, is there like a one specific thing at the American Airlines Center where people can point to and go, meet at the, like we have at the United Center, meet at the Jordan statue? So for no other reason, that's got to be it. And Dirk, big, giant, cool ass Dirk, I don't know, what would his pose be? They're doing the number one thing. What is that the pose? Maybe something, I don't know. I don't know what it would be. But happy Dirk Day. Dirk is still trending. All right. Should we do a we can't do a behind the scenes today. We can't. I really do, folks. I got stuff to do. Let's check in on my Bitcoin. Bitcoin. Let's check in on the Bitcoin. Let's see. I started out at 714. I went down to 707, and it is crashing. I am down to $6.84. Bitcoin is not happening. It is a bad day for the Bitcoin world. We seem to be down 4.31%. Again, when we started the show, I was at 707. When I went to bed last night, I was at 714. And here, as we wind up the show, I have $6.84 worth of Bitcoin. All right. We'll see. This is it's all part of my new me in 2022. I'm thinking about slowly becoming a Bitcoin cryptocurrency guy, and I need to take a baby step just to see how this first small. Thank you to Adam Reyna, who will heretofore be known to me as my crypto keeper. That just went up 685, so that's good. That's good. Everybody. So there's probably no chance it'll ever, go over 10, right? I mean, if I started at 714, there's no way of that. That would get me to maybe figure out a way to start playing with bigger money, if, and boy, that's not really a great way to playing with my, this is not, I don't know. I've got like 10 more documentaries on cryptocurrency that I've got to watch before I feel even remotely confident enough to spend mine or anybody else's money. Anybody else's money? Who's going to give me money to invest in crypto? What the fuck? I got to get out of here. I don't know what I'm thinking about. And I don't have any money anyway. But if you do, and you like what we do here every day, we do 2 streams a day. We do the first one at noon. We call it High Noon. That's what you've been listening to. We come back again just in a few hours at 9 o'clock. We do a little something called Pillow Talk. You can join us for Pillow Talk as well. Pillow Talk is a little bit different than this show. This show is more topic-driven, more current events, that kind of thing. The Pillow Talk edition is stupid. Pillow Talk edition. Well, just, you know what? Listen to last night's Pillow Talk. It was me and James Parker, and it was... I loved it. I thought yesterday was a fun show, a fun Pillow Talk show. Funniest story that I've come across in a long time is how we closed out yesterday's show. A woman was selling her farts and something bad happened. And I could not stop laughing. That story, you will see me, if you watch the video, you will see me hyperventilating. I start laughing so much just reading the story. You can find all of the old shows. You can find last night's Pillow Talk. If this ends and you want something else to listen to, you can just go to Pugs, Pugs cast.com. And it'll take you directly to all of the shows that we've done. I appreciate you guys hanging with me. I know we went a little bit late today. Got my bum, 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 bum. See me through the lonely nights. Da, 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 strong. Witch Kitty, I love you. Nice to see you. Dirk was the best of his time. Ooh, do I go out on a bad note? Because Dirk did play at the same time as Kobe and his LeBron. Really? If you had everything invested in your team and, you could have Dirk, Kobe, or LeBron, would you take Dirk first? I mean, it's not crazy to think that you would because, he brings, but I don't know. I don't know that Dirk was ever the best of his time. The best white player of all time. I'll say that. Certainly the best foreign player of all time. And I will fight anybody who wants to go with me on Yao Ming. Yao Ming was tremendous. But, I'm sorry. He didn't have the health. He didn't have the longevity. Dirk Nowitzki is the best foreign-born basketball player that we've ever seen in the NBA. And I even think he's the best white player that's ever played in the NBA. Sorry, Larry Bird. But I don't know that I can even say that he was the best NBA player of his time.
The dancing bear, trained to be the best. I am on a never-ending.
Adam Rainey says Beyond Meat is very expensive to make. Yeah, it is right now. That's what I was saying. It's right now. All of these meat substitutes. When you hear that they're expensive to make, that's because now in the process of production, they fold in a decade of research and development money into it. So yeah, it's incredibly expensive. They got to make that money up somehow. However, if it takes off and if people actually embrace these imitation meats, these vegan meats, these Beyond Meat type things, then at some point you're going to make up all the money. I'm talking about as a producer, not as a consumer. As a producer, at some point, if it takes off, you're going to have already paid for all of the research and development. And at that point, while you're creating the Beyond Meat or Impossible Meat or whatever, the price will significantly drop from whatever it costs you to herd animals or slaughter them and keep them alive. And yeah, so I mean, absolutely right. Right now, it's really expensive.
I can smile a little now.
That's interesting. That is interesting, Adam. That is a Hakeem Olajuwon. Okay. Hakeem is the best foreign-born NBA player. Dirk is just behind him. Okay, all right. I would have to think about that. I mean, I was a big NBA guy during Hakeem's run, so I wouldn't scoff at that. That is definitely a debate that could be had.
Things are going good. I always had to be on guard. That is understood. It has been a journey.
All right, I gotta go. I gotta run around. I gotta go to banks. I gotta do a whole bunch of things. Apparently now you can support the show with Bitcoin. That's fun. You can also support the show with tips. We appreciate that. Haven't got anything today. That's okay. We don't get anything. Sometimes we go weeks and weeks without getting anything, and then somebody awesome, a Tiffany, a Leslie, John, somebody will step up. I'm never going to say the names again. I'm sorry, because inevitably I will forget the name of somebody wonderful who supports this show, and then I'll feel like an asshole, and they might feel slighted, but you can support the show if you want, right down there. See, help support our efforts. Venmo, PayPal, Pugs, Gas, whatever. It's all right there. It's not required. But it sure does help because it's all I do. Also, new variant dropped. We've got a new Omicron is so 2021. There's a new variant. It's wreaking havoc in India, and it's probably going to start spreading again. So here we go again.
There's another day. The best is yet to come. I have found a different way. So baffling to.
Leslie, are they? Is that already been announced that there is going to be a statue for Dirk? I hope so. I hope you're right. Leslie says they're already giving him a statue, I thought. I hope so. He certainly deserves one. It should be. You know what? Now that I think about it, yeah, a couple of months ago, I did hear Mark Cuban on, I think he was on with Ben and Skin. And I think that Cuban had said, so you're right. You know what? I think you're right. Yeah, I think there is absolutely a statue coming for Dirk, which is super deserved.
I have got an old guitar. That is all I need.
That's all he needs.
I don't need no 401. I don't have the greed.
John Hinckley, you don't need a 401 because your family is ridiculously wealthy. John Hinckley, of course, graduate of the 1%er compound neighborhood, Highland Park High School, grew up right down the street.
Down the road I'll travel, far from the comfort nest.
comfort nest.
I am on a
Never-ending quest.
quest.
Doom, doom, doom.
Tomorrow.
By the way, this is John Hinckley we're listening to. If you're new, John Hinckley, America's favorite failed presidential assassin, he does the closing theme for the show. Comfort nest. It just dawned on me now. This is no longer the 1%er guest house. We're coming to you live from the comfort nest. All right, that sounds good. And now all of you're all in the know with me. You know when I say, all right, please welcome back to the 1%er compound live from the comfort nest, you'll get the reference. You and me. That's how you and me bond. We have these things. You know when I say that where it came from because you were here. Half the audience already jumped off. Half the audience figured it was over. Remember, this is like a Marvel show. Until you hear the applause at the end of Never Ending Quest by John Hinckley, I ain't coming back. And even then, I might come back. So,
The best is yet to come.
Best to come.
I have found a different way, so baffling to some.
Yes, John Hinckley, I would say that the way that you have found to deal is baffling to some. Most of us wouldn't have tried to kill a president for the attention of Jodie Foster. A lesbian, by the way. No, I mean, it was a misguided, from the very beginning, it was a faulty plan. She was never, no matter what you did, she was not going to be into you. She is not wired that way. Jodie Foster is a lesbian. You tried to kill the president of the United States to win the affection of a lesbian.
I can smile a little now. Things are going good.
Are they going good? I mean, I guess they let you out of the rubber room and you're like now free, and I don't know how free. Going good.
I always had to be on guard. That is understood. Down the road I'll travel, far from the comfort nest.
See you, folks, from the comfort nest.
Never-ending quest. I am on a never-ending quest.
A 12-year-old Jodie Foster is right, Ross Rubio. Good point.